Hello, patrons.
Patrons?
Patrons, welcome to the stream.
Patrons?
We're here to critique your work.
That's us.
We're gonna look at each piece and say, "'Tis garbage."
We're gonna tell you why. Joking.
Joking. Ha 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 ha. Telling lies.
Yes, Papa.
Yes, Papa. Also, Olive is here.
Yeah, Olive heard you were starting a stream. You were like ready to go, and Olive was like, I sure am.
Yeah, she's like, I'm ready. Let me get in there. People are gonna want my critique.
You don't even know what art is, Olive.
Yeah, you're just a cat. Art is meaningless to you. I could show you a painting and you would be like, that's just a wall.
Yeah, I'm not even sure you could. Can cats see every color?
I think cats can see more colors.
Oh.
Are they one of the ones that can see more colors?
Don't ask me. I asked you first.
I think they might be. Someone in chat will know.
Someone in chat will correct us.
Julia keeps leaning into frame.
Julia! Julia!
She's still working on her computer, trying to make it work properly.
Hey, Julia! Oh, God.
Yeah, a constant
Someday.
process.
Someday.
Okay, Olive, if you'll...
Never-ending nightmare.
Yay!
Olive, you sit down and calm down. And then we can start this critique stream. Thank you, everyone,
Olive.
at this tier. I know it's a high tier, but we're happy to have you here. And as thank you, we're going to look at your art.
Yeah, I'm always really pleased and surprised, but in a happy way, about how many people want to submit for critique.
Yeah, it's always really nice. And
Yeah,
we always end up getting more than I expect.
Yeah.
Because like I looked in the chat like earlier this week and I was like, we're not going to have very many this time. And then I looked at it again today and I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, everyone got in a little late this time.
We do have this many.
No complaints, just an observation.
Yeah. So I do have a bunch already loaded up. And then once we reach the end of those, I'll just start pulling the rest from the Discord that I didn't have time to get in the doc. But as usual, we'll get through all the ones that are there. Hopefully in a timely fashion. Julia's laughing at Olive because she just keeps headbutting me and digging at my pants.
Olive, if you're gonna be huge, you need to settle down.
Yeah, you gotta settle down. How's everybody in the chat doing? It's good to see you all.
Yeah.
Apparently cats see less colors, but it means they can see better in the dark.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So if you show them a painting in the dark, they'll appreciate it more than we would, because we wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah, because we can't see it in the dark.
Yeah. If the painting was of a cat, they would probably like it. Or at least like maybe they would think it was a real cat for a second, and that would be the most engagement you could get.
They'd be momentarily just delighted, or maybe
disoriented.
Upset. Yeah.
Frightened.
Combative.
Ellie said, I told my mom I was getting some art critiqued this week, and her reaction was just, oh God, why would you want such a thing?
Because it's helpful.
It's helpful, and we're nice. We're here to help you and give you constructive criticism, not to tear you down.
There are so many worse people you could get crit from.
Yeah, a lot of them.
We're really good at it, honestly.
Yeah, we're probably the best to ever do it. And so with that in mind, let's begin doing it. Yeah. Why don't we? I'm going to share my screen with you.
Thank you. That's so kind.
Actually, I'd love to share this one. Oh no, that's a preview. That's a preview.
Spoiler!
Oh, I closed it. I didn't mean to close it. I need that for later.
You're a mess.
We'll open it back up later.
Okay.
Hold on. Actually, let me fix it real quick. I'm just gonna go to starting soon so I can get it ready.
I'm sorry. I was lying. I was being facetious. You're not a mess.
I'm not being facetious. I am a mess. Yeah, my brain is like a little tired today, so
I can only imagine why, but it's another one of those weeks that lacked sunlight, so
yeah.
It's like baseline. You get what you get.
Sleepy Sea Slug
behavior.
said, "Sorry about my animations." You should apologize for making such cute animations that I want to go out of my way to showcase, because I can't showcase them in Clip Studio.
That's not how it works.
Okay, let's make this freaking Zoom thing go away. And let's get right into it, huh? I'm ready.
Let's go.
So let's see. First up, we have Messy Xandrew Burt.
Woo!
Said, I've been working on my nature backgrounds. I've got greens and blues down okay, but brown colors, I'm struggling with the values. And I totally get that. I mean, first of all, these are delightful.
Yes.
I think they're wonderful. Olive,
I love...
you gotta go, dude. You gotta go.
This isn't about you, Olive. You're so annoying.
You're so annoying.
I always love the texture on your work.
Yeah, the texture is so lovely. I think, because I remember from last time we talked about this, are these like actual paintings or are they digital? Because I don't remember the answer to that question, other than that they look like they've been painted.
I think some of them were. These look traditional.
They look traditional to me, but yes, markers. That's right. That's so cool.
Yeah, you can tell by the line work.
Yeah. I don't really know anything about markers, so it's a little out of my brain zone. But I do really like what you've done with the greens and the blues, for sure.
No, just looking at the rocks, like the blending of the colors on the rocks is really beautiful, especially if you did it with marker.
Yeah, like the reflected light from like the greens and blues.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
I think in that sense, like you really nailed those like very earth tony ones.
I love how you did these fish, the Magikarp, under the surface. But I do see what you mean about the background of this one, where it's like a little more muddy. Yeah. And like the details are getting a little bit lost. As far as what to do about it, it's a pretty good question.
Go on then. Tell us, Jacob.
Let me get like a brush.
Yeah, you're the head teacher today, so
I'm the head teacher now.
I get to come in slower and think more.
I feel like the what I'm kind of missing, like I like the up here, like these leaves. They could maybe use like a bit more definition, but it's, you know, because these ones back here are like very clear. I know these are like dried leaves, so they wouldn't have the same shine to them, but I feel like we're losing a lot down here.
Yeah.
And maybe like darkening up some of these like in between the tree areas might help, like adding a little more contrast to them, although they're pretty dark.
Yeah. See, I think just going by how I would do markers, I haven't done so much marker work in so long, so maybe I'm wrong, but I would actually, since it's a bit more of like a less straightforward process and doing it digitally, say go lighter generally, and then because like the darks that you have on there are very dark, so you know, and then with markers it's a lot of layering, so keep it kind of in the same realm as the leaves, and then like do this sort of definition with the darkest value you have, because like also just like brown ink is very potent, so and that'll be hard to kind of blend down once it's down, so I'd say get a little timider.
Yeah, I'm just like futzing here to try and get a little bit more like definition.
Yeah,
out of some of these trunks.
I think also on this side that Jacob's working right now, it has less range within the brown itself, and I kind of forget, Jacob, how much your color blindness like affects, because I know that these can be like shades that dull down for you.
Oh, it
But like
affects
on
everything.
on the right, like there's a lot more green undertones, which
Like
I
over
think
here.
is like and then even up at the top, there's like a nice green kind of mixed in with the leaves. It's a very
Yeah,
yellow
totally.
green. And I think that just like adds more depth than and stuff like that. Cause like brown, you can undertone brown with a lot of stuff. It's very fun.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
yeah.
That's definitely something that's hard for me to perceive, so I'm glad you're here to
Yeah, I'm just like I never want to assume. I don't like what's what you're seeing and stuff, but I know you said like orange and green, I think, are ones that you
well, yeah,
I
anything low
fucking
saturation
I'm dumb as hell.
is difficult for me for sure.
Okay, but yeah, because there's a lot of like green undertones in the leaves on the right, and I think that adds just like another like more depth to it because it kind of implies light and it shows more of like the life of the leaf.
Yo, they got
But
leaf
yeah,
life?
yo, they got leaf life in this.
Damn. So cool. Yeah, I think that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah, because especially with markers, like you have to start light and then kind of get into these dark tones. At least if you're doing like alcohol based ones, and in general because it's ink. So
Right.
once the dark is in there, you can't really like fade that out or cover it more than a light one.
Yeah, totally. And then I think
Okay.
like, zooming out on this, just adding a little bit
Yeah.
of like some brighter values and darker values in here to like the trunks kind of
Yeah.
clarifies it a little bit. So you could try just going like a little wider with the values to make it look like less, muddy.
Yeah. And I think another thing that's just like a thing of the medium, because I don't think you had trouble with this in the other two. The other two look amazing. I love them. They're so cute.
Yeah, I think the other
But
two are great.
like the more ink you're putting down, the blurrier the borders will be. And I think maybe in the original you kind of lost some of that definition because it was hard to figure out what to do about those browns.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully that's helpful, Xandru Burt. You do great work.
Yeah, I
Really love your
love
stuff.
seeing your work.
And I think you're like already on the right path with all the stuff you're doing.
Yes.
Just like little things you can try. But I mean, like the subjects are all so clear that it like doesn't bother me unless I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
Really. Because you have a lot of clarity in your pieces, which I really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
All right, shall we move on to the next one?
Let's go.
Up next, we've got Finn, who said, "This is from a friend of mine who drew this. I asked her if I could post it here, and she said it was fine." So we got some friend of a Finn critique on this little bunny. Maybe the bunny. It looks like the bunny
cute.
is Finn, so it's like Finn's OC, but drawn by a friend.
Yeah, is this your Sona?
Is this your Sona, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very cute overall. I'm trying to think like what jumps out at me here. It's there's definitely a little bit of like muddiness with some of the line art and like delineating certain things. Like I'm seeing it in like the legs over here. Let me get a different layer. It's kind of hard to tell what's going on with the pants here and also here. We're like losing some detail there where it could be helpful. We're just like a little bit of, something to like continue this line and like showcase like how the pants are going could be helpful. You could even use this like lighter brown tone here that you were using if you wanted to do that. Just to help delineate that stuff and make it a little clearer. And it doesn't have to be, like super ton or super thick, but
Yeah, because like I don't think if especially if you're doing like a lineless style and this kind of has a more graphic comic-y sort of style to it, that you necessarily need to differentiate things like so. But with these poses, they're like more dynamic. So I think there's like you have plenty to gain from adding in these things that Jacob's pointing out.
Yeah, and if you don't want to use like, lines like this, there's like other ways you could go about doing it. Like if you wanted to maybe, can we make these go away, please? Thank you.
No.
If you wanted to like take the back leg and sort of like fade it down a bit, fade it out as it like goes back. You'll just have to like, let's just use the background color. That would help.
Yeah.
You could do something like that, which helps give it a little more depth really easily.
Oh yeah.
And then also creates a like tone difference between the front leg and the back leg. So there's like ways to go about it. You just want to make sure where things are like crossing over. Because I'm getting it a bit here as well. Because this just isn't, I think, dark enough, the shading here. And so it's like harder to tell where that crease is. So like something, darkening this up a little bit. Just to make it so it's like very obvious where the hand is like going. And you can study like how the folds would work too. I know this is not you, Finn, that drew this, but you can pass this on to your to your friend of Finn. The Finn friend. But it will definitely help like delineate some of this stuff so it's not so unclear.
Yeah, like there are things where just looking at it as presented to me, it's so subtle, the detail that's been added, that I didn't see it at first. Like the curve of the arm that Jacob just shaded in, I actually didn't realize there was one there. And that's something it's a tendency I see a lot with people who are still kind of like learning and exploring how to shade, especially digitally, is that you're, or in general, you're kind of sheepish to really push the values. But
yeah, totally.
Especially if you're doing it digitally, go crazy.
Yeah, because you can always change it later. I think all of these shadows could be a little darker.
Yeah, because I'm like, those are great details. So, just make them stand out a bit if you're gonna put them in there. It'll look cool.
Yeah, you already did the work of like drawing them.
Yeah.
Let's darken them up a little bit, make it so it's like really clear what's going on here.
Yeah.
We love clarity here.
We're kind of stupid. We need things to be clear.
Yeah, make it clear for me, please.
Yeah, it makes it extra fun to look at. Although I do love this character. The face is so friend.
Yeah, the character's very fun. Yeah. Like a friendly scamp.
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else? I might say on this left one, it might be worth like reducing like some of the background stuff, or like either changing the colors or making them less bright so that the character pops a bit more.
Yeah. Finn is in chat and says the one on the left was for my phone case.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
I'm like,
really
yeah,
fun phone case.
No, I agree. I love all I do is get silly phone case. Yeah, I'm like, if it's just like a design, hell yeah. But yeah.
But my brain like wants to see like, even if it was like there was like a white border around the character.
Yeah.
That like helped the character to pop out. I'm using like the wrong brush for this.
I feel like I see that a lot. In my fucking rotten brain, I'm just like, I'm always looking at like anime merch because I'm always at fucking Book Off. So I'm just like, when they do like for My Hero or something where it's a more like comic book style, like design sense they're doing, they always kind of have like that shadow border where it's just a silhouette of the character, and then they just kind of like scooch it to the left, so it's like casting a shadow. Even something as simple as that like is really cool, and it's just like an easy trick to like separate your character from a background in a way that just kind of reads as like design comic-y fun.
Yeah, and it works really well. It's like easy make the character pop button.
Yeah.
If you make them look like a sticker, like put a white stroke around them and then put a drop shadow underneath, easy mode. I do it all the time.
You do. And it looks great every time.
It always looks good for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Thank you, Finn.
Fun. Thank you.
All right, we got some comics here. This is from Ellie, said, I've been learning to draw comics. For now, mainly practicing by using existing scenes from books and shows. Would love any feedback, particularly around composition and visual storytelling, both of individual panels and the layout as a whole. So we'll zoom in here, because I had looked at some of these already.
Yeah.
And already formulated some thoughts. But one thought I had, like I think the kind of geometric, like faceless style is a cool thing to go for. It's a tough thing to go for in comics because the face expresses so much.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, it's less about the face of the character and more about like the poses and the action, I think it can work. You definitely want to make sure, like, watch out for areas where the values get too close if you're doing grayscale. Like this shoulder. I need a layer. This shoulder with this door is a little close for me. This drawing of Nathan, his like skin tone with the background is a little close. Along with like this shirt, and I know it's tough because there's only so many tones you have available to you.
Lineless grayscale is can be difficult. Kudos.
Yeah, it's like it's not like so off that like, because I can tell what's going on. It's like, but it just gets a little close for my comfort.
Yeah. And since it's already in grayscale, like that makes it easy to kind of check, because as someone who is incredibly nearsighted and can't legally drive without her glasses, like the check for me is just kind of like any way that I can like blur it, so like squinting or even just taking off my glasses, like the Nathan guy just disappears. Like, yeah, you need to be able to kind of differentiate, especially with the background, because if you're showing the characters, like, I mean, on the contrary, this one at the bottom right of the first comic, where it's just a silhouette, like even though you can't really even like see the characters, it's so effective just because it's just like two contrasting shapes.
Yeah, like this really pops.
And the foreground. So
I was thinking the same thing. This like pops out a lot.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like an important part of the page too, so it's good that it pops. There was something else I was thinking of with this one over here, which was, I mean, I think the art is really cool.
Yeah.
But I think there are places like in this first panel where with the text that's happening here, it's like a woman who knows the waves by the way they move beneath her feet, and the wind by the way it kisses her neck, wonders how the blind man might learn about the sea. I think with this much text, it might be better served with multiple panels, and panels that relate more directly to what's being said, especially when it's such a visual description.
Yeah.
Like when the description is like about the waves by the way they move beneath her feet, like that's a visual panel in my mind of like legs in the water, if you want to go very overt, but there's other things you could do. The wind by the way it kisses her neck, that's a visual. And then wonders how the blind man might learn about the sea, that's a good time to cut in close with this blindfolded face. So that's something you could think about, is like getting those visuals so that they're going in tandem with the text. Also,
It
my
did
cat's been
great.
going wild back there. If you keep hearing noises, that's
I keep hearing Julia laughing.
she's laughing because Olive keeps trying to like get on everything.
Olive, stop hogging the attention.
Ellie in chat said, "Yeah, I struggle with how much is right to fit in one speech bubble." Yeah, I mean that takes kind of like a while to learn, I think, and it becomes like an instinct thing. There's not like really a
Yeah.
right or wrong answer. I don't know, Karina, if you have like more thoughts on that because you're very good at comics.
Okay, real quick. Ellie was also saying lineless grayscale is a new thing for me. Initially, it was lined, and I hit the layer, and I decided I liked it. I think it's really cool. My advice for like exploring this style more is to set like a set amount of like pick four grays or even three grays and then black and white and like only use those because I think if you're just kind of like freewheeling it then you like I'm sorry to keep coming back to the Nathan one but like that one is just kind of the weakest panel for me because like it's also washed out except for the hair of the guy on the right so and the pants so it's just kind of like it doesn't like it just looks very washed out so I think set the values you can use and then the like if you're ever trying new things just like limit yourself and as a bit of an exercise to see what you can do with like less because I think you'll learn more that way anyway speech bubbles
Whoop.
what okay hey.
What do you think of it now?
Nothing, it's too small, it's like an ant I definitely feel like in this like I completely agree with Jacob like this is such a visual like descriptor that I think it could have its own like you know visual panels to go with it. I'm a big I like to really think about economizing your comics because I've had to do some with incredibly tight deadlines and having less to draw is always nice but you know you can also like it's I feel like the sign for me that this wasn't super thought out is the fact that the word C is on its own line.
Oh
Yeah, sorry. That's just like, okay, you've pasted the text. I feel like if you don't want to draw more panels, you could also just like add more speech bubbles so that it's like segmented better. Because having like a lot of text in one bubble both doesn't look great and it doesn't like pace itself very well visually, if that makes sense. I was actually talking about this with a student just the other week when I was doing a talk where they were just like, how do you figure out what to do with the word bubbles? I never know where to put them. And I'm like, you have to plan them when you're doing the initial sketch. Like they need to be part of your draft, part of your thumbnails, because otherwise you're just going to put it over any space where you feel like you can put it. And then you're covering up all the work that you've done. And it's not like, and like the text is part of the picture. So
yeah, it's like a compositional element. So you should like treat it as a visual.
Yeah. So like even in the one that Jacob just did, like, you know, it's a very poetic thing to say. So even I'm like, I don't know, this is just how my brain works, but like having that kind of shape of like the speech bubble like flowing in a certain way kind of like also harkens to the idea of the sea and the wind to me.
Yeah, totally. You could even get like, you know, a little more creative with the tails and like make them like kind of go like we like go around and like do stuff if you wanted to like kind of get like a misty look, or it can be like, you know, it can coincide with the text. The way the bubbles look.
And that way you don't have to add more panels because that's more work. But it is something that you know, you should, you know, play around with, think about more, especially as you're drafting stuff. It's fun.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool stuff. I think you're doing like really good experimentation and like trying stuff, and like that's like such a huge thing is to like try stuff that you're not quite fully comfortable with yet.
Fuck around and find out.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. And I think that's awesome. I think you also had one that I didn't put here because it was like a really tall, like webtoon length one. But there was stuff in that one that I liked that you did that I think could also be applicable here for like this panel with the stars. I would love to see like a longer panel of like the stars to like showcase like the vastness of the sky and like highlight the shadow between stars. Maybe like a taller panel where you can see the characters silhouetted really small, like towards the bottom could be cool. Like just think about ways you can expand panels and like, you know, don't pick the size arbitrarily, but pick it like based on the context of the panel.
Like I think I mentioned this. Who knows where I mentioned this, but like the way, as someone who comes from an animation background, I always view panels as kind of the camera. And so when you're doing like really long panels or something, it's like a camera movement. And especially if you're kind of doing it in the context of digital comics, like there's literally motion in that you're scrolling. So that can always like be really effective in communicating like movement or vastness or whatever. Because I think you do that very successfully in the one that wasn't included in this file.
Yeah. Sorry I didn't include it. It was just too tall.
It was so tall, but it's real good.
And I was trying to like limit what I picked from everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool work. Definitely keep at it. And you know, if it's ever me and Karina critiquing and you give us comics, we're gonna take like 3x as long to talk about it because we both have lots of comic thoughts.
Sorry. It's what we did professionally for a long time.
Okay, let's move on. Great work, Ellie.
Woo!
We got So Eepy. Said, critique time. Here are the pieces I'll be submitting to get reviewed. As always, general critique is alrighty with me, but I'm looking forward to see and learn where my biggest strength lies and what my art weaknesses are. So we got some fun pieces here, some fun characters.
Yeah.
We got Donata Hamato. This text is a little hard to read, but that's not really part of the drawing, so
yeah,
that's just a font choice. And this looks like more drawings of that same character, maybe. I think so. Yeah. The hair looks the same, but like a more realistic approach. And then we got this rat up here. This mouse, child of the good little mouse.
Oh.
One thing I think.
Julia, shut up.
Julia.
What?
Quit laughing.
I'm sorry.
Don't watch funny things while I'm doing Drawclass.
Watch sad things.
Yeah, watch something sad. I want to hear you crying or not at all. Okay, so one thing that I was thinking was one of your strengths is I thought you did really well, like proportionally with these characters. Like the body proportions, like you were clearly going for like a thick thigh, thick leg look for the character, and I think that you pulled that off well while still making them look like proportional as a person. Like the elbows are hitting in the right spot, arm length looks right to me. I know that's like a difficulty for a lot of people, and same with the mouse too.
Yeah.
I felt like the arm length was looking good, leg length looking good. Good proportion work for sure. So I can tell you've been, you know, working on that. I feel like something I would say for to work on, as we say in the business.
For to work on, yes.
Is looking at where your light sources are and like shading more in line with a defined light source, because with all of these I've noticed you kind of just shade around the outline of the character. Like it's around the outline of the arms, it's around the outline of the legs. It's the same over here with a soft brush where it just kind of is around the whole outline, and that kind of muddies up the shading a bit. It makes it a little less clear looking, and it kind of gives it like a I really like this mouse. I think that's like an emoji or something.
Sir, that's an emoji.
But the emoji also has the same shading, I noticed.
Hey, that's
You're doing
true.
emoji shading. But yeah, same over here. I don't know why I'm controlling this so bad today.
Can you drive the canvas properly?
I clearly not. But yeah, the shading around the outline. So like maybe if we tried to like define a little bit of it a little more. And I can start futzing with that. And if Karina, if you have anything you wanna
I'm kind of just agreeing with whatever you say, my dude.
Yo, we're in agreement.
We're in
I
agreement
can't
on a
access my
Friday.
layer styles because you're in the way.
Oh.
Get out of the way.
No.
I guess I'm also in the way.
Yeah, don't just make this a me problem.
Yeah, I was thinking if we like defined a light source as coming from like, you know, over here, like sort of a front 3/4, then you could like, you know, do more things with like the face, like putting this part of it in shadow.
Yeah, because your art, like they're very shapy.
Yeah.
Your style's very got strong shapes, but strong shapes. But yeah, as you can see, as Jacob is doing it, some of that gets like lost or flattened out because of the lack of like particular strong light source. Because yeah, it already adds so much extra just doing something like this.
Yeah, it just helps like define and like carve out the character, make them pop a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I know that if you're going to use like a soft brush, especially for shading, you got to be really cautious of this problem. Because it can be harder to like define everything if your brush is really soft.
Mm-hmm.
I usually like to do, if I do soft brush shading, like a mix of both. Like I'll define the hard edges, and then for areas that would have a more gradual shading, I'll use a soft, like a bigger soft brush after the fact. So that can be like something to try for sure. Could be like losing some of this ear for sure in here.
Yeah. And this, because like all of this is ultimately like also stylistic choices, which like, yeah, do you go do whatever.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of like, oh, here's a suggestion to try out, and not, you know, I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the way you did it, but this is a me problem. Because the way you're shading, you're using one color to shade the whole thing, and like I do that too, but in this, like on this one specifically, like the red shading on the teal top, those are like complementary colors, like they're very contrasting. So those are like it kind of muddies up the shading in a way that it doesn't on the skin. Like red is a wonderful color to like shade on skin, because you know you have like skin is warm and you have blood.
You have blood
and heat, whereas with a teal shirt, like it wouldn't naturally, like you'd have to be like in red lighting for that to happen. So it kind of like makes a muddier shadow just in terms of color theory. So and then like there's nothing wrong with that. I would do that all the time. It's hard.
Yeah,
but
I do it all the time
something that you can try, because like I got inspired to try this after watching goddamn fucking Promare change my brain chemistry, is you can try like doing different colors for different parts of the image. Because sometimes now I'll do warm shading on the skin but then cool shading on the clothes, depending on what color they are, just because it like looks better. So that's just like a fun thing to try.
Yeah, totally. That's something that I've been meaning to try ever since I saw you do it from seeing Promare do it.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes it makes a difference. Because unless you're doing really stylized shading, like it, you know, it kind of like, you know, gives it a bit more depth. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
These are wonderful.
yeah, so you can try out something like this, like just, and you can, it really helps to do like lighting studies, like find some reference of like people's faces and bodies that are in extreme lighting conditions and try to like draw those, and then you'll start to like internalize where everything gets shaded over time. And yeah, I think it just makes the character like, you know, and you can go like lighter. It doesn't have to be as dark as I made it. It was for example. But yeah, try different tones, different colors, and it will make your characters pop a bit more.
Yeah, because they're already so unique and nice and well constructed. This will just enhance.
Pop them.
Ah! Get him.
All right, let's move on.
Yes.
Thank you. So Eepy.
Thanks,
I hope you're less Eepy.
Eepy.
We got Spicy Fingers art. This freaking Spiel Moonpaw art, it cracks me up.
My beloved.
From the Drawfee Hunger Games stream. Okay, they said, hi, I have a few things here. In the painted stuff, my work feels pretty flat, especially the backgrounds. I have no idea how to fix this without making them too busy. And in my illustrative stuff, I feel like my line work is always really scratchy, and whenever I've tried to go cleaner, it ends up feeling stiff. Excuse me, or not as expressive. Any feedback is appreciated. Rip me to shreds. I crave critique.
Okay.
Shit. We're gonna frick you up then.
Yeah. Spicy Fingers art found dead behind the Denny's.
No, I don't think there's really anything to frick up.
Yeah.
I think that definitely with your background, I see what you mean with this background piece, that it simultaneously kind of looks like a little flat, but also a little busy. And
I know my answer.
I want to hear your answer if you got one straight off the bat.
Have you checked your values?
I could have probably guessed that should be the answer. Let's do a value check.
Yeah, because I can see you have a full range here, but I don't think it's organized. And I think maybe that's like part of the problem, because, you know, like the foreground should be the ground, and then everything, I imagine, as it's getting further away is kind of like, you know, that's pushing into the background. So that would kind of like fade out. Like it'd be, if it's in a forest, it'd be kind of hazier and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, what is this? Is that you? This little guy on the ground.
Oh yeah, there's like a little astronaut.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't even realize that, because it's in a different style. Okay. I was like, Jacob, did you put that there?
Yeah, I added in a little astronaut to every image. You haven't noticed?
I'm so dumb. But yeah, because I mean, that just kind of goes to show, like, the tree trunks are where you're putting your darkest value, because that's the color that they are. But that's the only thing I'm seeing.
Yeah, they really like stand out so much.
Yeah, like I didn't even notice the astronaut guy. I'm sorry. Like, so basically when you're checking your values, what you should be doing is kind of constructing the composition using these grayscales and then taking it from there. So that instead I'm looking almost immediately at the character and then kind of like stepping back and seeing the world for what it is. But yeah, because this is a really cool setting, but I could just notice that there was a lot of work going on trying to fix like how you were feeling about this piece with the colors, but not with the values, because the colors are very bright, and you're doing greens and reds, but the values are very not non-derogatory, mid, because like a lot of them fall into the mid area.
Like literally mid.
Like these bell plants are so close to the value of the ground, to the value of the trees. The only things that are like really pushing the range are the tree trunks, which just kind of dominate your like your attention, and then the background, which is kind of like, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking the same thing, obviously, in what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Was
Jacob is very well illustrating it.
I'm trying to say, like, if you want to have your values sort of tell the story, if you want to keep this, like, the bright values up here and like the haze in the distance of the forest, and then have the forest floor be darker, so that you can then have a bright spot to like highlight your character, so that when you look down here, your eyes go straight to this bright spot.
Yeah.
I think that could be one way to tackle it. If you wanted to go with like the dark values up front and then the light values in the back, you could also try to like flip it and make the forest get darker as it goes back, and have like brighter values around like a light source surrounding the astronaut, like he's exploring a dark forest. And could be like lighting up the stuff around him.
Because
go ahead.
The forest floor, like the way that you have like the values done, and by extension you've like shaded it, it's a very well lit forest. So I think if you wanted to like really draw attention, it could be more of like a canopy, because there's so many trees, so you're not like, it's a lot of shade, and you're like getting that bright light that's in the background peeking in like through the leaves.
Yeah.
So that's also like a really cool shape. And so then all of these trees can be like this same dark value, and then the floor can also be the same dark value, and then that way like you get this bright spot where the astronaut is.
Yeah, I think that would actually help quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, don't be afraid to test your pieces in grayscale first. That's always something you can do. Just to like set up like a value sketch, essentially. Like you don't have to do the whole thing in grayscale, but like if you made like a tiny, you know, like a tiny piece.
Yeah.
Where you're like, if I just do like a quick.
There were a lot of like assignments I had to do in school that essentially were this, where it was just like I know one of them was like, we're doing a painting that's entirely in grayscale. You have to do 3 separate lighting treatments. Like one where it's like, you know, dark foreground, like that. But yeah, you have to like prepare the little ones, and then you like it all in grayscale, and then you can like do the bigger one, and then you can also do it in color. But yeah.
Yeah, so you can just like mess around with something like this and be like, this is going to be the dark part here in the front.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be some mid-tones with like these structures that are like, you could even have them be like through the trees. You could see some of them or something. And then there's going to be like some lighter stuff like back here, like some other trees. And then we're going to have a big bright spot right here that draws your eye to it, with like the little guy being like, holy shit. Are you seeing this?
Oh my god, I'm in the forest, dude.
So like obviously this looks bad, but it's like the idea is you want to like get these concepts out here and like see how they work in as fast as you can, so you're not like doing a whole piece and then being like, why does this look off?
Also, to just move things along real quick, the sketchiness, line art, whatever. I'm just like, this was at time of recording one of the many discourses on art Twitter recently. Whatever, I love art Twitter. I love how they complain about everything. And basically some like wonderful points I saw put out, because like TLDR, I don't think you need to like fix sketches to be line art. I think just make it work, because yeah, sometimes your sketch does have like really good energy and you do lose that. One way I saw people put it, that's why like line art's a separate skill, because like you need to practice it to be able to be like, you know, at a place where you're just like, okay, I'm not losing that energy and stuff. But yeah, if you're ever having trouble with it and you're just like, I'm just not feeling it, just keep it as a sketch. I'm a big defender of like, yeah, just fuck it, just do a sketch. Just color your sketch. It looks great.
I
As long as
totally
it's,
agree.
yeah, like if it's tight and like this looks great.
Yeah, he's got like such good shapes. The way you like scrunched the can.
Yeah.
I really like the shape of this guy. My only advice for if you really want to ink it cleaner but keep energy is I try to often me. If I want to have like an energetic ink, I try to ink fast. So I'll go like up, over, and like have it be a little nasty.
Yeah.
Like this. And then and I'm like moving my whole arm and I'm trying to like go really fast so that the lines have like a dynamic quality. And then I can like erase out the parts that, you know, are extraneous later. Like you don't have to be meticulous.
Even oh so quickly. You have such nice inks all the time, Jacob.
Well, thank you. Like you said, it's like it's what you work on, right?
Yeah, like it's a skill. It's a separate skill from like drawing. But I agree, like something I again notice a lot with people who are still exploring style and exploring like technique is that you will be stiff and you will move slow. And sometimes that works for people. Like because of Jacob, I only recently started kind of messing with stability in like Clip Studio, because sometimes I do need it, usually if I'm just trying to do something really cleanly.
Yeah.
But I also am a lot more confident in my line work, so that doesn't like slow me down as much. But yeah, it's just, you just got to figure out what works for you. But a good thing that I think more people need to try is just like, you know, to the extent that they are able to be more dynamic and loose with their inking, because going fast is kind of how you do it, like in a way that retains a lot of energy. The energy you put in is the energy that's going to show.
Yeah, I mean it's absolutely true. And usually when you're sketching, you're going a lot faster. And
yeah,
it just, you know, it works. And you can add like little sketchy lines to kind of get that energy in parts where you want it.
And part of why, I forget, one of my teachers said this, but like part of why you think your sketch looks better is because sometimes you don't have these final lines set down. So your eye and brain are seeing like 3 lines instead of just 1. So you're just kind of like seeing selectively, like, okay, yeah, like this looks great. And then you place 1 line and you're like, ah, shit, it looks awful. But it doesn't. It just means you didn't place the line. You just have to develop kind of that mind and eye to be able to put that down the line that you want to see, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
When it's still just a sketch, you've got the possibility of all the lines that you've drawn.
Yeah.
And your brain kind of sees this and like averages it.
Because
your brain loves to fill in puzzle pieces and like make images.
Yeah.
So you'll just see the sketchy lines, you'll be like, oh, it looks really good, because your brain is like averaging the whole shape. It's not like looking at each individual line. So then when you make one individual line, suddenly all those possibilities have coalesced into one reality that might not be as good as all the possibilities seemed to you. Yeah. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, these are all good work.
This one I just love.
Yeah, I can't linger on it too long. It'll make me cry.
But yeah, great work, Spicy Fingers. Thank you for submitting.
Wonderful work.
Get rid of all this stuff. Up next, we got Zest of Lemon. They said, hi, I'm kind of in a weird place with my art right now between being in art school and doing commissions and drawing for fun. That's a lot of drawing. So any feedback on anatomy / composition / style / anything at all would be appreciated. These are all recent illustrations with varying degrees of completion. Straight out the gate, I think that they're very cute.
Yeah, I love the color palettes.
Yeah, the color palettes are super nice, and I think they work really well. You got like some interesting like the fact that the sky still looks blue to me, even though it is straight up orange, is like shows like sort of your use of color relevancy here. Because most of this is just shades of orange. Like the entire thing is shades of orange. Yeah. Which I think is really cool. That you can make it like trick the mind like that. Let's see. I want to say that my favorite are these the Draga girls. Because of course it just aligns with my interest. I love big shapey clean style like this, and I think you got the shapes like so nice.
Jacob, I'm gonna be so annoying right now. I'm gonna grab a snack. Keep going.
Oh yeah, that's fine. So that's not really a critique. It's more just like I really like them. I'm trying to think of a critique to give you because I feel like you're on a really good path. Like your work is really good. And I really like the stuff you're doing here. I think your anatomy is good, especially for a complex pose like this. This is like a really tough pose.
Yeah.
But I think you got the anatomy really nicely. Especially this. Fucking.
God damn.
I wouldn't want to do this.
Absolutely not.
That ain't
with
good.
anyone.
That you did it really good, but that ain't good for me. I'm trying to think of a critique here. I mean, it's I feel like your stuff's really nice.
Because I always see your work on like Twitter, and I'm like, it's good. It's always good. I just really like this, and not in a bad way, but like the kind of like flatness of the work, like stylistically. I always just think that's so nice. It's very graphic.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. The like flat and like very like color block focused is a cool stylistic choice. It's kind of one of those things where like we'd have to maybe know like what you're hoping to improve on, like if you wanted to figure out how to get more depth, or if you're like this is like the style that you want to be doing and you are happy with this. It's always kind of tough for people like at this level, I feel, to critique a bit without being able to like talk to them.
Yeah,
because it's like you it's hard to tell how much is like part of the style and how much is, or if there's anything that you would want to be different. I don't know if you're in chat right now. You are in chat right now.
Yeah. Thank you. My secret is gradient maps. So true. I mean, my advice, barring the one on the left, because you've already done it, is just to kind of like try more dynamic anatomy, I guess. Not because I think there's anything wrong, but just as like, okay, here's a new thing to try.
Right, yeah.
They say I do kind of avoid shading because I'm scared of it. So if you have shading tips, I'll take them.
Oh, okay. We could do some shading tips. I mean, we already kind of talked about this with that other person's work.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you wanted to get more into shading, like you do it a little bit. Like you got a couple shaded elements here.
Yeah.
But you have such like clean, what I would recommend you do, since you have such clean like work here, is like take one of these pieces you've already done and just like try to experiment with different like styles of like extreme light angle shading. And like, so get yourself a brush and get yourself some extreme shadow.
Extreme shadow.
We'll go with like
Shadow the Hedgehog.
A blue and one.
Motorcycle.
Get yourself an extreme Shadow the Hedgehog. And then we want to be on multiply. And you can just like, let me make them go away. Sorry, Draga.
Rip.
And just be like, okay, what if they were being lit like kind of from, behind? Like what, because you have very good planes of the face like identified, so it makes it a lot easier to see like where the shadows would go. So like, let's see if they were being lit from behind. Let's hello?
Hello?
Why is it not, where's my...
You're on transparent switch to foreground or background color.
What the hell? There we go. Like, how did that even happen?
Sometimes it just do. Yeah.
You could start with like the nose and be like, okay, where would all this shading go, and just like mess around with it a bit.
Yeah.
And like try to put them in different scenarios so you can.
If it's as Jacob does this, if it's like, because like I was saying, I like that you don't do a lot of shading as like a stylistic choice. I think you pull it off very well. It looks very clean, and I like it. But if it's like something you're scared of, but like you want to get better at it, it's just a lot of fucking around and finding out. And then if you don't like it, you can just get rid of it. Like there's been multiple things that I just like drew to like post just for fun, where I did full shading treatments on them and then almost posted it. And I was like, actually, I don't like it. And I just like hid the shading layer and posted it without it. And I liked it a lot better that way. Like you can just try if you have the time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you don't have the time.
Yeah, but if you do have the time.
But if you can find the time.
Yeah.
And that's why I suggest doing it with pieces you've already completed. Because then like it gets rid of that mental hurdle of like, okay, I'm trying to do a piece this time where I shade intensely. And then you're like so in your head about it. Instead, you can be like, well, this piece is already done, so I don't have anything to lose by just like messing around. Yeah. And like this is obviously like dirty, but it's just like trying to show like what you can experiment with.
Yeah, if you're just experimenting, you can literally just like delete it. Because I think it was a while ago I like drew Miguel Spider-Verse, and I did a full shading pass on that. And then I was like, I feel like I overworked it, and I just deleted it and posted it with 0 shading. Yeah. And I liked it better. Sometimes it's just the move, but
that's totally
you never
fine.
know unless you try.
Yeah, like don't be afraid to just like give it a shot and see, how it works for you, and try it out. This is just like a quick and dirty example, because then you could like get rid of this and be like, okay, what if instead it's shaded from like the top, and so we got like I'm not gonna spend a million years on this. Yeah,
I'm just like, I love your enthusiasm, Jacob, but I do worry about how slow we're moving.
Yeah, we'll move faster. It's just like a general,
Yeah, this is why you don't get your submissions in late.
Like, okay, then I guess like the cheeks would be shaded somewhere, and under the nose, and then like this bridge would be in shadow if you got like a light coming from up here, like under the hair, make him look real spooky. So it's just like stuff like that you can experiment with. Mm-hmm. And we'll I'm gonna move on so that I'm not here forever, but you get the idea. Try stuff out.
Yeah.
But your work's really good.
Yeah, you're already killing it.
Yeah.
Just mess around, fuck around.
Yeah, and don't don't be scared.
Yeah, don't be scared. Why are you scared?
What's gonna happen to you if you do a bad job?
Yeah. What?
Nothing. I'm not gonna do anything.
If you don't try new things, we're gonna find out. And then what?
We'll find you. This is the animation one, Sleepy Sea Slug.
Okay.
So since this is a Karina crit, I wanted to submit some animation because I DK what I'm doing, smiley face. If animation's going to be a pain to crit, let me know and I'll post something else. We're doing it, Sea Slug.
We're doing it. Jacob's going to pull it up.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and say I love these. Like, I love that they're like self-contained little loops and they're so detailed, and the backgrounds have like all these details and like little moving bits. So that makes it very difficult to critique because it's like really good. So God damn it. But so I guess if I have to like point out something, I was like staring at this intently while Jacob was setting up just to make sure I had something to like say. Is that how do I put this? Like your character kind of doesn't stay super on model. Like in this one specifically, also I love the smear work on this, but you can kind of peep that some of the proportions are changing, and maybe like even if they have like a really loose jacket, I'm like holding a peanut butter filled pretzel, gesturing like an old man. And but from pose to pose, like the widths of things are kind of shifting, and I feel like it kind of like lacks the character structure, like in this one specifically, and also in the one with the Boyds, the birds. This side note, the bug one and the our flag means death one, so good. No real notes, but like
we're gonna go back and look at those.
Yeah, this one too, like I feel like this is just kind of like a general anatomy problem, because like any pose where your arms go up like this is hard. So the arms like are changing size a lot between poses. And it's also in perspective. So like that's not easy. And I also really like that you don't animate like on ones or twos. Like these are a little like I think it's nice. I think it's nice to not animate on ones and twos. I think it's cute. But yeah, it's just between poses, I can kind of tell that like character proportions are changing, like the face is like shifting a little. And so one way that you deal with that, as I found out when I worked in a studio, because it's because I'm really bad at staying on model too, is have like your character model, and that's your draw over model. So it'll always be like, so when you're like going between things, because if these are looped, I assume you're doing like keyframes, but maybe you're doing a bit of straight ahead between the keyframes, and that's why things are changing size and then popping back into place. But just have like, you know, a character, like this is what the face looks like, so you can always go back and like trace back that face, because that's how you do it in the studio. The director comes in and pastes the face over all my drawings and is like, fix it. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
No, shut up.
Yeah, I'm stupid. But that's what you get for making me animate stripes. But yeah, so that's kind of the main thing I notice, especially with these ones where they're like full body moving, is that there's just a bit of shifting in like the proportions and the model. So yeah, but I also have that problem. It's also just like, especially if you're animating in like slightly different styles, like it's gonna be shaky. But basically what you do is just have like one, like, so in this frame where the arms are up, you have one drawing where the arms are up, so that when they're moving, like the arms aren't going to change length between each movement, because you can measure it back to that master drawing. And then again, when they're like with the lantern one, like you'll have a master drawing for different poses where you can kind of like measure back to make sure like the waist isn't like getting like, or the legs aren't changing width or anything. So, but these are wonderful. I love them. I love the bug one. There's really nothing to comment on this one because it's like a lot simpler in terms of the motion. I love the little caterpillar in front. That's my new best friend.
Yeah, from like a straight up illustration perspective, they're like killer.
Yeah, like I have nothing to say about like your layout or your illustration. Like it's all so good and strong.
Yeah.
And I love the caterpillar. I love little creatures. There was one pilot I worked on where like most of my contributions were just little like foreground creatures, and I love them so much. But yeah, and then the Our Flag Means Death one is just real good, real cute.
Very cute.
Yeah, again, I like the I don't know if it's like a super intentional choice to not animate on like smaller counts, but I like it. It's something I notice a lot with Spencer's work, is that he does not animate on smaller counts, and it kind of adds a certain weight and drag to motions, like that like swooping in and the hair falling. I feel like you saved yourself a lot of work by putting that on such a slow count. So I think it's really smart. I like your work.
Yeah, I think it's got a charm to it, like a low frame rate charm that I find really enjoyable.
I just do what I think looks nice. Well, you've got a good instinct on it.
Yeah, follow that instinct. Keep doing it.
These are great. Yeah, this is my favorite one. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. The perspective on this angle is killer.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to draw as much. I like your attitude.
now we're talking.
Yeah. No, it looks great. I like the choice. You economize super well.
The goal of drawing is to not draw.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your work. I hope any of that was helpful or made sense.
I'm sure it was helpful. It made sense to me.
I thumbs up the wrong camera.
Have a master drawing that you reference back to.
It's a lifesaver. As someone who also just constantly goes off model, you gotta implement the master drawing. It just it fixes so many stupid mistakes that are so easy to make.
You need a master to look over your shoulder and be like, no, I am the master drawing. You will obey me.
No kidding. You did it wrong.
All right, next we got Gunga Bunga. They said, hi everyone, hope you're all having a great day. I know the big one has a lot going on, so please don't feel like you have to delve into each individual bit. It came about through all the unused ideas from my D&D campaign, so I spent about a year chipping away at it. That is some dedication to a piece that I will never know. Alternatively, if it's more appropriate for the stream, I've got this character I designed that I spent significantly less time on. I'm not sure what next I'll be doing on my art journey, but I'm looking forward to it.
Wow.
So yeah, this piece down here is like huge.
Yeah.
With lots of different scenes. Very cool.
Good Lord, so cool.
So we can take a little peek at all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that aside from it being very cool, there's definitely some clarity issues.
Yeah, that was gonna be my overall. Wow, I have one bit.
It's values.
Yeah,
it's check your values.
Again, like you have glowing eyes, you have fire, you have all these things that are glowing. They could be glowing more. That's all I mean.
Yeah, I'm going to
any like big illustration scene. You can always just push the values. That's my trick.
Here we go.
Yeah, do some, yeah.
Because if we look at especially like this here, and
yeah,
this
my one is the panel with the fire circle. That fire is not glowing.
That fire is dark.
Yeah. Jacob, do me a favor, actually.
Yeah, what's up?
Hide this layer, make a new layer that's an add glow, and set it to just kind of like a middle yellow.
I got you.
Yeah.
Let me just, I got to keep moving you every time I want to
I'm sorry.
reach my little style.
Yeah, and then just like airbrush some glow onto that fire.
Yeah, we'll get the airbrush out.
Yeah.
I've always got it ready. Oh, baby.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby, we're popping.
It's as easy as that sometimes.
And then it makes it so that the values are much brighter on the fire. And like you probably want them to be very bright in the at the heart of the flame. Yeah, we want these suckers to be boining.
Yeah.
And you can see just like when you zoom out, now my eye is like whoop. I'm looking right there at this.
I have changed the game.
Yeah. And I feel like we could also, in a similar vein, like make this character and the area around them a bit brighter. If they seem to have some sort of mystical light. Oh, there's another character there. I literally did not see this person.
Yeah.
Until just now. Because this person seems to be like making a light from themselves. And so this person standing back to back would be getting hit with like all of that direct light from this person.
Yeah.
And so it'd be like, you know, like they'd be like glowing
Oh, damn.
glowing back here with the part of them that's like close to this person. And like catching it on the arms. They got like a bangle here that would be glowing.
Doggy? A little doggy foot. But yeah.
A little bit of doggy foot action.
Yeah, that's the art hack on how to just add light. Sorry, I thought it'd be funny to just eat a lot of peanut butter during this.
Yeah, what is happening over there? You're like,
don't worry about it.
You're like
just
a horse when they're trying to make it look like it's talking.
Don't say that. Yeah, multiply layer to add shadow, add glow, or add layer to add light source. It's art.
It's art, and we can do it. Butter. We can do it so many places. Like, like these eyes should be glowing. Like, there's a lot I'm losing here.
Oh, absolutely.
There's like a cube down here.
Yeah. Yeah, these are all wonderful, by the way.
Yeah, the drawings are really cool.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to see them better. Yeah, we got more fire here that needs some glow. Use the green of these eyes.
Yeah, just fudge with the whole thing. It'll be fun. Jacob, I implore you move on, though.
It's kind of fun to do, though, isn't it?
Okay, but like scroll up. There's a whole other thing we didn't even touch.
We got some character design over here.
I love this character.
Yeah, very cool character. Love the the way you've like shown how all the armor fits on.
Yeah. Like
this charge up pose.
And I love the hair.
Hair is really cool.
It's given Gear 5.
I was thinking the same thing.
As the kids say.
It's got that Gear 5 hair. I think the main thing I would work on here is just like the facial anatomy is maybe just like a little bit. It's not like really off, but it's a little bit off to the point that it's like noticeable to me. So I would maybe just do some like face reference practice, because I feel like this eyeball here is this eyeball is not quite in the right place from what I can tell. If we have like, this is the face, the skull structure I feel like is pretty good, but then it's almost like it should have like a bit of a tilt back or something, or even if it doesn't,
maybe the facial features are just larger.
Yeah, it's like really close to being where I want it to be.
Yeah. And sometimes facial feature proportions are part of style.
Totally. But sometimes I just like, I have a look, and when my first thought is like something's a little off.
No, I'm not trying to step on your toes here. I'm just like being nice.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, like I said, it's not like really off. It's just like a little off.
Yeah.
So I think with just like a little more practice in terms of like facial, drawing from reference, like faces and like lining everything up.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything wrong with like proportion per se. The thing that stuck out to me is that not to sound like a freak, but the tongue reads is kind of small for the otherwise larger like facial features.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
Yeah. I think as you continue to explore like face and study face
and like do, you know, that even includes like the features on the face. Like you can look up specific like mouth reference.
Yeah.
Like see like what if a person's sticking their tongue out, like what their mouth would look like. But yeah, cool stuff. I really like the design of the character in general.
So fun.
Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
We got KC.
Woo!
Welcome to my two wheelhouses, earnest Homestuck fan art in the year of our Lord 2023 and drawing my cringe core OC and funky outfits.
Let's go.
Love that. For critique, I just feel like my art progress has stagnated a little lately, and I'd love to know what you think I could push to make my art look more interesting or more polished. Thanks. Excited to be in Drawclass with the rest of y'all. Everybody in here appears to be killing it. Everybody is killing it.
Yeah, in case we weren't clear. Oh my god, I love your cringe core OC.
Yeah, I really like the OC as well. And as you got nice, clean line art over here.
Yeah.
Looks very like a cartoon cell, like animation cell.
Yeah. Peanut butter noises. Okay. How do I word this? I feel like it's not like I feel like there's a discrepancy. I just the style difference between the two of them, like there's so much like cohesion and confidence with the cringe core OC. And I feel like you're still figuring out softer shading on the Homestuck ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah, I'm just like, what's a proper way to word this? I guess that's it.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, because these are lovely too. I think it's just because like the lighting is so much more complicated on them.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god, the lighting on the character themselves is so nice. The green, yeah, the green rim.
Yeah, I do like all of that a lot.
Yeah.
I agree that like something with the soft shading is like showing up as like muddy to me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm missing a little bit of clarity. I know I've said the word clarity like 1,000 times on this stream, but
well, sometimes it's the correct word. I'm really trying to get into my soft shading era, but it's hard to balance between the soft and hard shading. I agree.
Yeah, totally.
I also feel that way a lot because I do a lot of hard shading, and it is really difficult to kind of mix the two properly, especially if you're doing like clean line art, which obviously you're like really good at. But yeah, it can be like a hard balance to find. You just kind of have to figure it out for yourself, I'm afraid.
Just figure it out.
Yeah, that's your critique. I do feel with this piece that we're looking at right now, and a little bit with the other piece, I think maybe it's the layer style you're using for all the lights, but because it doesn't feel so much light as just kind of like a haze.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like, is this my good friend Ad Glow? I don't think so. Because yeah, it's just like depending on what layer style and stuff you use, it does affect the way that it reads as like a light. Because when it just has this kind of like fuzzy glow to it, especially in these very bright, unnatural colors, and then when this one with like the white, it kind of just looks more like airbrushed on rather than like a light source. And I can't say for sure, like depending on what program you use, if you have access to like those different kind of layer styles, in which that case, maybe you can like, you know, look at reference, like photo reference of stuff that you're interested in kind of emulating the lighting style of, and see how like it happens in nature, happens in real life, how other artists do it, and kind of take note of like how they color it. Because if something's glowing, it won't be just kind of like a cloud of the same color. Maybe it'll be like a bit of a how you say spectrum, like when you diffract light.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you say that, but yeah, it'll be like different colors. And
I'm thinking like maybe like a simple thing that might help a little bit is just to add a couple more elements of hard shading to the surfaces where it would like make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like the horns especially, I don't think should be this soft if they're horns. So if you have like areas where the shading is a bit more defined, I think it will help.
Yeah, they say I wasn't in Clip Studio yet, so I don't know if I had Ad Glow. Yeah, that's why I was like, depending on what program you use, they don't all have even like maybe more than 2 layer styles. But in that case, got to crack open the painting studies. I'm afraid.
Yeah.
A baby's got to do what a baby's got to do.
Even if a baby doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this the last time we critiqued, but if you're trying to kind of find that, like, marry that hard and soft sort of like shading style, one thing that I've been doing as a way to kind of like futz with that is going in with the hard shading, because that's what I'm very comfortable doing, and then going in with like a blur tool or like a blur brush and blending it in on like, you know, to see like, okay, if it's on a face, like the cheeks are soft shading, but if it's going to be like down here, that's hard shading. So I can kind of like start with what I'm comfortable with and then fuck with it and see how I like it and then decide.
Yeah, I do that a lot as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking at like adding these like harder edges to harder surfaces, and it's adding for my brain.
Yeah, no,
something to like latch on to.
Yeah.
That's like very defined, because I think the skin would also have, you know, some points like that as well.
Yeah, because like if you're doing soft shading, but you have like hard inks, like your line art's very like strong and defined, and I do see that you've like colored some of the line art, but like that's a really hard thing. It's like a coloring book, so part of why it's like nice to kind of do what Jacob is doing is that you're kind of adding on top of the line art, like, and leaving that boundary, and that kind of adds more of that kind of soft paintery sort of effect without really stepping on the overall style, maybe.
Yeah. And I definitely like to do, like Karina talked about going hard shading and then soft shading. I do that sometimes. I also like to go the other way around, where I'll do large areas, like I'm doing basically to your piece. Mm-hmm. I'll do large areas in soft shading, and then I'll go back and be like, okay, what here would have like a hard edge to it? And then sort of do that over the top of the soft shading. And that can like make it really easy to figure out some of this stuff. Because like I feel like the lips too, we could definitely get, because we want to like capture this like orb that's shining here up onto the face.
Yeah, because even just eyeballing these lips, it's gotta check your values.
Yeah, and this helps like define the lips a little bit, differentiate the top lip from the bottom lip a bit more. Yeah. Obviously I can't do this all day. I would do everything all day is what I'm discovering if I were given a chance.
I just give Jacob a task and he goes to town.
Well, it's like it's like fun to, you know, try
I'm just like, I didn't even have to draw this. I just get to like
I just get to mess around.
Yeah, I'm doing like some
gift
comic color work right now, and I'm just like, this is fun. I didn't even have to draw this. I just get to color it in. Yay. But yeah, these are wonderful.
So yeah, check out like the difference in how the face like pops out when we add those highlights. Yeah. Those like hard edge highlights. I feel like it draws the attention a lot more to that area. Yeah. And this is just like doing a little bit of it. There's definitely more you could do as well. So I guess like my advice is don't be afraid to get back in there on these soft ones and add some like brighter highlights, some brighter spots. And make sure like those focal points. What's a point?
We can't talk about that.
We can't talk about point. Focal points are like drawing the attention like they should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool work. I really like your drawings in general.
Yeah, so cool.
Okay, moving on. Scarlet Kako.
Woo.
I don't get to be a part of these live too often, but I'm really excited to participate in another critique class. Main piece I'd love some critique on is the black and yellow one. I'm mostly really proud of it, so any insight on something that maybe escaped my eyes would be much appreciated. Other 3 pieces, feel free to comment on if anything jumps out at you, but if they have to be skipped for time, that's totally okay. If it helps at all, these are sketched with pencil on paper first, then scanned so I can work digitally through the rest of the process.
Ooh.
So we'll focus on the yellow one, since that's the one you were talking about. It is very cool, and you went for a very dynamic pose.
Yeah. Which
I love. You know, I'm all about pushing the pose. But I think we do have some anatomy issues.
Yeah. It reads a bit strangely, so it's like taking a moment.
The most thing that jumps out to me first, what do I speak English or am I just like learning? Thank you. Is that the torso and pelvis are like really short.
Yeah.
I think the pelvis specifically, there's just like missing some length here. I know it's supposed to be like bending, right? But it's not so much reading as bending as it is reading like the whole abdomen is like sort of
I had trouble kind
missing.
of reading the pose at first because the outfit kind of like continues going down. So the colors to me were kind of like reading as because in my mind I'm like, I know the torso is supposed to be going down there, but it's instead up here.
Yes. Because I think you did good on the leg.
Yeah, that's a good leg.
And I think you did great on the arm too. This arm here. I think it's literally just and let me make a copy of your image. Duplicate layer. Because I really just want to like, just give me this man. This is going to be like a nasty way to go about it, but we got to get some more torso in there. Because I really think if we just made the torso a bit longer.
Yeah.
This is just to see. It's obviously, I'm not going to get the details or anything.
Yeah, I think you were going for foreshortened torso, but it just like didn't. Yeah,
I totally get what you were going for, because you wanted it to be like bent around, but the angle wasn't quite correct, and so instead it looks really short. And then maybe even if we extended this a bit down here, a little bit more crouch zone. Yeah, I think that's looking closer to me.
Yeah.
Still maybe not perfect, but you know how it is.
Yeah, I think you were just like trying to foreshorten, but went a little too extreme.
I'm seeing what they're saying in chat here.
Yeah, I think the reference.
Oh, go ahead.
I think the reference I was using, they were really bending their back, so I was having difficulties translating into 2D.
Yeah, totally understandable.
Yeah, like that's heard.
Yeah, I have that difficulty as well.
Yeah, when in doubt, enter your like Sherlock Mind Palace and turn them into like building blocks, and then like
yeah, as best you can. It comes with a lot of practice.
Yeah.
And like you've already made like a lot of progress just like looking at your poses here. Like I love that you're going for like dynamic poses and like pushing your abilities, because that's what you got to do to like start to internalize this stuff. And then eventually you'll just be able to like see when it looks wrong, and it'll be like a lot more clear to you faster. Yeah. Because I really like all the poses you went for here. And yeah, torso in this one is great. We got a good torso here. So probably just the angle you were working with. I do think this one is like your most refined of these three.
Yeah.
So I do think you did a great job on this.
Yeah. With the pose just like a little adjusted. It's just so good. Like everything else about the pose you nailed. The legs, the arms, so good.
Yeah. So yeah, awesome work. Just keep an eye out for your proportions, and you're on your way. You're doing it. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Turtle Ducky Momo. Heyo, I'm new. I've always wanted to see what someone thinks of my stuff outside of my two friends, so I'm glad I got in on a critique month. We're your two friends now.
Yeah, your two new friends.
Two new friends. Most recent are the one in red from 3 months ago. Marked spoiler. I didn't include the Chainsaw Man spoiler image. And the paper sketch from last month. So I picked these 3 to showcase. Thank you for sharing, and also welcome, Turtle Ducky Momo. I really like your stuff. I like a lot what you did with the blue hair here with all the highlights and stuff, the orange highlights.
Yeah, I love this Miku.
He's a good Miku.
Okay, someone thinks of it.
And then we got this cool animal lady. And I really like your on paper work here too.
Talking about brand new animal. It's cool animal lady.
Cool animal lady, the brand new animal.
The brand new animal. They made a new animal. This is her.
This is her. She's being created right now. I feel like whenever we do these, I'm like a broken record in many ways.
No, I think that's part of it.
But I think you just have some like general like anatomy awkwardness a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And it's tough because you're like really close on it.
Yeah, that was also my initial thought, and I was trying to think of how to word it properly.
What I'm seeing is, I think, actually a torso that is too long this time. Because you got your pelvis down here.
Oh.
And then the torso is going all the way up to here. And with the shoulders coming out here.
Yeah, I will say that if you have the proportions incorrect, it does look better if it's long. So I think maybe that's why it like took a second to clock.
Yeah. But I do feel like it is a bit long compared to the proportions of the legs.
Yeah.
Because it would kind of be like if I were doing it, you'd have like this, and then I think it would be starting like right about here. If we cranked this up a little higher.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not by like a ton. Why is my eraser so small?
What are you, me?
Doing some like real Karina core.
You look so Karina dumb right now.
Yeah, I think that's a little closer to me. And I think maybe the collar, the high collar being so wide is also like making it seem like the torso goes even higher than it does. Maybe would bring that like in a little bit. But yeah, this kind of thing you can get better at just through straight up practice of like gesture drawing and anatomy practice. Go to like, what's the website? Line of Action. One of those websites with all the where they give you a bunch of poses. So yeah, like I said, it was not like crazy off.
Yeah.
Just
I think
a little bit.
This is one where it's just like, you got your shit down. It just needs refinement.
Yeah, totally. And it's a similar thing with this Miku here. I think the legs are really good. But we got some short arms, I believe. This arm in particular is a little small. If you compare it to this arm over here, it's much smaller. So I would take this bad boy right here.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna, oh, you gotta have an object
Yeah.
to transform. What am I gonna transform? Nothing? I think it just needs to be a bit bigger, a bit longer. That definitely helps. And then there's something with the pose you have here, the chest, the booba.
Well,
Because since she's like bending forward like this, the booba wouldn't be so high. Because it's like, this is like coming out of her collarbones. So you probably wouldn't even like see it as much, really. You got like a shoulder here. It'd be like down like here, if I had to guess. Or maybe even further back. I mean, this is like the process every time I'm like doing a pose. It's like, would it be here? Would it be here? And you're like trying to figure out where it would be. So it might be like somewhere like that. And then kind of like this. But I think you got it a little bit too high. So it's looking a little awkward there as well. But yeah, this stuff is just like proportional anatomy, gesture stuff. I really like this one.
Yeah.
I feel like you did really well with this pose, and that's a complicated sitting position too.
Yeah, and from the side.
And from the side, yeah. But I love how you did this torso. That looks really good to me. I just redline everything so I can see if it. Yeah, I think that's great. I really like that. So yeah, just work on your anatomy, I think. Anatomy and proportion.
Yeah, because you're there.
Yeah, you're doing great.
It just needs refinement.
Just needs refinement, and that just takes time. Okay, next one. Let's see, we got 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
I got six more here, and then several in the Discord. So
yeah, you each get 1 minute.
we're gonna go quick here. Dan the Man got a couple pieces for you. I don't draw characters very often. This was done a while ago. I've never really studied poses and anatomy, so I imagine there are things that could be improved. And then number 2, this is my latest piece. I'm really happy with it, but I think there's more that can be added to make it more interesting, but I'm not sure what. Yeah, actually, I really like your work. I wouldn't have particularly noticed anatomy issues because this is such a strong piece, like stylistically.
Yeah.
Like it really reads as being in your style. And so I don't really have too many complaints about it. Because it's hard to say like the proportions or anatomy are right or wrong, because this is like a little freaky guy. They're like good enough that it doesn't jump out to me as anything being like particularly wrong.
Yeah, like it as a self-contained design, it looks great.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's like, if you don't draw characters often, there's definitely pose and anatomy work you could do. But I think the texture and like color blocking style of what you do works, so it has such a charm to it that like it overrides the anatomy and pose to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the texture. And I love this one.
Yeah, this piece is really pretty. I like it a lot. I really like what you did with like the texture of the trees and the hills, and then like the finer lines on the bridge. I think the only thing I'm like really missing from it is like it doesn't to me have like a clear focal point of the image. Like it feels like it's supposed to be this rabbit.
I kind of assumed it was the one on the right.
This one?
No, the other one.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell for me.
I kind of assumed because it was next to the tree, but it doesn't yeah, it's a little hard to tell.
Yeah, a focal point would be a little strange to have this far in the corner of the image, typically.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the stones over there.
That's true too. I was mostly thinking because of the composition here.
Yeah.
They all point.
Where are your thirds?
all these lines point at this rabbit.
That is true. Oh my God. Are you a genus?
So in my mind, if the rabbit is the focal point, I would do something to make this rabbit a little more stand out a little more somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that answer is. I think the glow of this rabbit kind of matches the environment of the rabbit too much.
Yeah.
So it gets lost a little bit.
Yeah, they have like because the ones in the background don't have as big a glow.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, they stand out more.
At points, those actually stand out a little bit more, especially against the slightly darker background. But this piece is so pretty.
Yeah, I think it's generally a very lovely piece. I would just try to find a way to make this rabbit stand out more, whether it be like darkening the area around it, or like reducing the glow on it a little bit, or adding some sort of like distinguishing feature, or maybe it's like standing up more on its hind legs so that it gets more involved with like this background color. If like the head of the rabbit could be, like here against this darker color.
Mm-hmm.
Have to be a pretty tall ass rabbit, but you get what I'm saying.
It's just standing there like a man. No.
But it's the idea, right? It's the idea that counts. But yeah, love the way you rendered this. It's really, really pretty. Yeah, great work, Dan. I really like it.
Yeah, wonderful. The fucking tall rabbit.
He's squaring up.
Get him.
Dan in chat, I noticed, said that they struggled with making some of the shapes look 3D. The rocks look kind of flat. I thought that was intentional. I like that the rocks look flat. They look like 2D elements.
Yeah, I think I don't know if like you were trying to go for more, but the whole piece is like so cohesive stylistically that I don't think there's an issue there.
Oh, on the character one you meant.
Oh.
I thought that rock looked 3D enough.
Yeah, again, it's cohesive.
Yeah. Nothing, it all feels like it goes together. I feel like you got a really strong style. So I would say keep at it. Keep on trucking, Dan. All right, we got Mojave Mailman. I believe we've had this person before. I recognize the style.
I sure do.
These are my submissions for Drawclass critique. I'm looking for critique on shading, lighting, and values. Also, how do you make good-looking mist from a waterfall? That's what I definitely struggle with the most.
Oh.
Okay, so shading, lighting, and values. We can go ahead and make our value layer.
Yeah.
That we love so much.
I love it.
Make the color layer. Because I remember we talked about values on your stuff last time as well. Mm-hmm. And this is already looking better to me than last time. Like I'm not so having the same issue.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got something out of that.
Yeah, for sure. I think if it were me, this left piece is still very dark, largely. I might be tempted to add some brighter rim lighting to this armor from behind, especially in like the upper portion of it. I would also say like compositionally, I feel like this, Julia's showing me her phone. It says a sea lion escaped from Central Park Zoo during flooding.
Julia, stop fucking around.
Anyways, I was going to say compositionally, he's in kind of like an awkward space to me, this guy, because his head is like touching the top of the thing here. His head is like touching the top here.
Yeah.
And I feel like he needs to be maybe a little lower down, and we could focus more on like his his upper half, perhaps his upper 3/4. But yeah, I would definitely think about adding in some like stronger rim lighting to the places like up here, that especially the places here that the moon is behind.
Yeah, and even the places that it's not quite behind. Why not?
Just to really make
it's just a drawing.
It's just a drawing. What are you scared of?
Come on.
Because yeah, we want to highlight the head and shoulders area like we're a shampoo commercial. Yeah, I think this would be
like we're a shampoo commercial.
We could get we could cheat some of it like in front of the face here to like frame it a bit. And then if we kind of like shifted our boy down a bit. But I really love the armor work. It's like so detailed. And the color work too. I like the colors a lot.
Yeah, the color work is beautiful.
Yeah.
I would say that for the mist, I'm not sure if you were using like a cloud brush or something. There's a lot of, it's very voluminous. I kind of imagine it could just, it does mist from a waterfall? Like, does it need to be that thick?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I haven't looked at a waterfall in a while.
I do think that,
and you know they don't render in the mist in Pokemon, so no, that doesn't count.
I definitely feel like the cloud brush is like, is reading as like cloud brush a little too much. Mm-hmm. Like there's a danger when you use like, you know, like a leaf brush or a cloud brush or any of these like texture brushes where they start to look really artificial, because they're so different from the rest of the rendering style. So I might try to like add in some elements that like you can still keep the cloud brush for like the edges of your mist, but you could color in some more of it.
Yeah.
So that it feels a little less.
Yeah. I wonder, yeah, because like your work is so strong with like the line work and the hatching. I wonder if there is a way to work a little bit of the hatching into the rendering of the mist.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, because the hatching is like present everywhere else.
Yeah, because I think that's and also just side note, because I remember you doing this last time too, but having the mist kind of frame the one on the right, it reads as a bit unnatural because it's just very obviously like there to frame her like visually, artistically, and I feel like that should be worked in better if that's your intention.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I do agree that if you could get like work on like your cloud rendering, because there's people that like draw clouds and they'll like hatch in sort of to give the clouds volume like this. I'm not like great at it, but this is like, you know, this is an example. So I think if you worked on like a style like that, like Karina said, that incorporated your hatching, that would like fit with the rest of your piece.
Yeah, because I feel, because like the line work is so strong that I feel like when you have this like cloud brush that you're using, that's why it feels so separate from the rest of it, because you have these like dark, like the black shading and stuff. So I wonder if there's like a good like way you can kind of meet in the middle and add hatching to incorporate it better, or just replace it.
Yeah, I would recommend looking at like some of the work of like older like American comics artists that do a lot of like the heavy hatching and like black work stuff. Because there's what's that dude who's like the father of the graphic novel, whose name I'm remembering? I'm not remembering, I should say.
A father of the graphic novel?
He basically like Will Eisner. Will Eisner was like one of the first to do like a graphic novel.
Okay.
Look up some of Will Eisner's work. Because because he does a lot of like the heavy black shading stuff with really, really good hatching. I think it would like suit you really well to like look at how he handles doing like fog or mist if you can find examples of it, which I'm sure you can. I'm looking at a panel right now that's like freaking insane. Actually, I gotta find this and show it. It's so cool.
Jacob, the time.
Just one second. This is a really good example of what I'm talking about here.
Thank you for the advice. I did a cloud brush after I got really frustrated. That's so fucking valid. I like make a lot of use out of cloud brushes and when I'm doing like backgrounds and shit, but I'm also very particular about which cloud brush. So I don't know, maybe the answer is also like a cloud brush, but also if they're by a waterfall, you can also just throw in like a little bit of like speckles and noise and shit, because that's like water droplet spraying. That's something I noticed when I was like doing color work and I had to do like rain, is that when, you know, when rain hits stuff, there's like psh. So having a little bit of like mist and like, what's the word?
Fog?
Splatter.
Of course I'm not finding the I've got it on my phone and then it doesn't show up.
Just send it to me over Discord.
I'll just show this one instead.
Oh
I feel like this is also a good example. Where did it go? There it is.
We're the best at critiques.
The way he does like torrential water on like backgrounds, he'll actually like highlight, like this hydrant is like hardly even there. It's like highlighted with lines that indicate the like water and the rain and the obscuring of the vision. And like the way that this person's body is highlighted, where it looks like he's dripping wet, but that's like negative space on the black ink. Stuff like this, using like just inks to get this effect, is something I think you could study that would be really helpful.
Yeah. So I think the really striking thing about your work is like the kind of old school, heavy, like dark inking and stuff. And I think it's cool to keep leaning into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Okay, we're moving on. And bip. CJ Schneider. A few pieces I've done somewhat recently. I go in and out of drawing with a week break or so in between, and I feel like I always struggle with color and lighting direction / intensity. Whenever I'm done with an illustration, it always feels as though things are oversaturated in color, but also really muddy in their values. Okay, interesting. So we got like this dragon guy here. We got this frog that I actually really like.
Frog.
And
I gotta be real. I don't think any of this is like oversaturated.
No, I wouldn't say so. I think it's pretty desaturated, actually.
I cut you off, this goblin.
Oh no, you're fine. I was gonna say the same thing you said, which is that now that I'm looking at the values, and none of these values go past the middle point of saturation on the color box. So you're actually working with very desaturated colors. And
I don't think it's muddy either.
No, I think your colors are generally fine. Like the desaturated nature of them makes them a little easier to cohere.
Yeah.
And I think in this piece, you actually have very nice values as well. I think the only place I would say it falters is with if you want to focus on this character down here.
Another little guy I didn't see.
This little guy is going missing.
Yeah.
Down here.
Last scene.
Yeah. The frog has great values.
Yeah.
I would say. But you need to differentiate this little guy from the background. And especially since it's a glowing character, it should be, easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that you were trying that with the glowing, but it's the head that disappears.
Yeah, and you do have a little bit of rim lighting here, but it's not. It's not
enough.
Yeah, I want more, please.
More, please.
Like you could maybe have them like holding a light source might help if they're like, because it looks like the frog is being illuminated.
Yeah.
From the front, and so you could have the bug holding
Yeah.
a light source, and then you could like darken the areas sort of around. You could get like a big brush and
vignette
it a bit so that the bug is like making the light. I love how disgusting it looks when I don't clip it to the layer properly.
Yeah.
There we go. And then you could, make the bug lighter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let me fetch my add glow. Lighten up the bug. Have the bug be a light source.
Yeah, have it like carrying a little lantern or something, a little torch.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Whatever that bug would carry.
And in case I've not been clear on this, if you ever want to check this, check your values. You can make a layer on top of your layer and set the mode to color and fill it with black. And it will do it for you. So
yeah.
I'll just show it again real quick. I would make a layer, I would change the mode to color, and then just fill the whole thing with black, and it will make everything into grayscale for you. And then you can easily turn that on and off and see where you're missing some detail. You could, if you did this, you'd be able to clearly see, oh, I can't see that bug. Yeah, and then other than that, I think you just work a little more on anatomy and stuff. Make sure your limbs are all the same length. I can tell this goblin has like one longer arm than the other arm. But that's all stuff that you'll get better with in time if you keep practicing.
Yeah.
But I like where you're headed. I think you're headed a good direction, and I don't think you have an issue with color or lighting direction.
Yeah.
And intensity.
Yeah, I think if as you do more pieces like the frog one, you'll get more of an idea of all of this, because the other two like don't have the same sort of atmospheric like composition and stuff. So
yeah, totally, dude.
Well, it looks great.
Let's move on.
Anyway.
What the hell?
What?
Joy jumped up. Scared her. Okay, we got Daylight Ink. So excited for my first draw class. Here's my submissions. I'm moderately new, 2-ish years to digital art. So any tips on that would be great, especially for shading and color picking and how to make dramatic lighting really pop, since clearly I've been trying that a lot recently. I've also been frustrated with posing, so any tips on pushing the pose would be awesome. The last two are works in progress, looking forward to it. I think there were more, but these are the three that I picked. Because, I mean, we clearly have, once again, a values issue with the middle piece. I think with kind of all of them, honestly, in different ways.
It's like the first piece is the strongest.
Yeah, you got the most value differential here. But this character is getting like almost totally lost for me. We can turn this on. Their whole body kind of blends with the background. Yeah. So I think really, but honestly, I think you did great with the pose. And to showcase it, let me just make a, let me just remember how you make a layer. Here you go.
Oh, you hit the new layer button?
Oh, thank you. We're going to do some levels adjustment here.
Yeah.
And just see if we can't get it to where we can see a little better. That actually already looks way nicer.
Yeah, even there's so many little details in the background.
Yeah, you did so good on the background and on these clothes, and then you hid it all. you cast it all into shadow. Why would you do this thing? But yeah, the pose is great. I got no issues with the pose.
Yeah, this is
and I think
lovely.
the face looks really nice too.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we turn this off, you can see that it's almost like you're in like a dim room.
Yeah. Huh.
And we can check the values with this as well. You can, I would say it even still would need more even from here. I would add more light to like the clothes too.
Yeah. Rim it.
As we like to say.
As we love to say. Just rim it. Yeah. We love rimming
Yeah, I would definitely
here at Drawfee.
Add more to like all of this.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll go quick here.
No, you better.
I'm so good at going quick.
Yeah. But if you had all day, you would just go to town.
I would go to town, yeah. I'd probably even have to like cheat some of this because there's like a lot that's getting lost in the body. It might benefit from a secondary light source from like over here.
It is space. You can just throw it in.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just like, if I'm like doing rim lighting and I feel like I want it just extra separated from the background, I will just add rim on the other side because fuck it.
Yeah, why not?
Who cares?
Who's going to stop you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say like, oh, it's space, so there's like a purple light coming from that way.
Yeah, you can't prove there isn't.
Yeah, what are you going to look over there? You can't.
Yeah.
It's a drawing.
There is nothing over there.
There is nothing over there. I lied. Oh, yeah. And then I think that might let us even highlight a bit more of this. If we did something like this.
Ooh.
And this is obviously like a quick and dirty, but you see what I mean? I always feel like I want to remind people, like I feel like they're always thinking like, oh, but like it doesn't make sense, or like there's not a light over there, or they're thinking too much like in the world of their drawing and not enough in I can just add whatever I want to this to make it function better.
This person literally has wings. Just add another light source.
Yeah, like if you're looking at it and you're like, I feel like I can't discern well enough the between the arm and the torso, be like, I'll just add a light that makes the arm more visible. There's no rules. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, great job on the line work.
Yeah, this is so beautiful.
Great job on the pose. The expression is really pretty. And like the shading on the face is so nice. Just don't just watch your values and don't hide.
Yeah. Because
if we turn this stuff off again, you'll see it's like, goodbye.
No, you're so well rendered.
No, you're so pretty. Come back.
Come on.
And also, don't hesitate to bust out a levels layer. I do it on basically every piece I make. At the end of the piece, I just make a levels correction layer and then like adjust it until it looks right. Because I will often make things too dark or too bright. The correction layers are your friends. I tend to use level correction, and I will use hue, saturation, luminosity, and just like futz around till it looks like what you want it to look like. But yeah, great work. I really like your work, Daylight Ink, especially for 2 years digital art.
Yeah, beautiful.
You're killing it. Okay, we got 2 more here. That's already 5:11. Jesus.
Yeah,
sorry.
We fucked up again.
Sorry, Karina. It's my fault this time.
No, it was my fault last time. Everyone's bad at this.
Yeah.
But it's really exciting that people are so excited every time we do critiques.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun to do. That's the problem. It's easy to get carried away.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got Black Psych next, who said, all this whiz-biz in here is far too good. Let's pull that average down.
Shut up.
Don't talk bad on yourself.
Yeah.
Everything here is from reference over the course of 6 months and from a place of feelings unconstrained by the paltry limits of cringe.
We love to see
You should not be restrained by cringe.
There is no such thing.
Yeah, there is no such thing. It's fake.
Yeah. Throw it out. Eat it.
So these are, obviously just like studies you've been doing, which is fantastic. This is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
To get better. I think what I would suggest, I'm just going to go for like one thing, and then Karina, you can say one thing, and then we'll get on.
This is why you get your submissions in earlier.
If you're doing studies like this, where it's like a pose study and a lighting study, you kind of you pick this brush that's a little wiffly waffly, and you were afraid to clearly define your shadows and lights is what I'm getting from this. And I understand, because I often am the same.
Yeah.
But you want to take like a brush with a hard edge, and you want to be like, I'm going in and I'm going to pick a place where the shadow begins and ends, and I'm going to define it. And that's like really how you'll help yourself to like see where you're wrong, because you'll be able to compare it more easily to the reference.
Yeah, because when you're doing studies, you're studying. So you have to give yourself as much information as you can.
Yeah.
Because even if you're giving yourself like you're kind of overblowing it a little bit, like it's more useful than not giving yourself enough information to learn from.
Totally. And so really just block it in, and then like go back and kind of look and look at your reference and be like, okay, where was it right? Where was it wrong? Let me make little adjustments. But doing like a sort of a binary blocking of light and shadow can be really helpful for learning how to define that stuff.
Yeah. Plus also it just depends on how long you were doing these for, because just kind of sifting through the various ones that you posted, I assume this one and some of the other ones you posted for like the figure drawings were relatively quicker drawings.
Yeah,
as sure. In under, sub 20, sub 10 minutes. That's fast. That's a fast drawing. Yeah. So but yeah, so that's just go in, make more marks.
Yeah, and then for like your Asuka here, I would definitely recommend, because there's the anatomy on your drawing here is like a little wonky in places. Mm-hmm. If you've got like a reference image you're using, definitely take your lines after you're done and overlay them on the original, and then take note of all the places where it doesn't line up. Because I can tell that like the arms are too short here. And if you like took this and like put it over the original image, you'd be like, oh, the arms are way too short. Then correct them over the top of the image you're looking at, and then you'll start to like internalize those types of things.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Black Psych.
Amazing work. Keep it up.
Keep it up.
You are not cringe and you are not bad.
No, you are good.
Don't say that. I'll kill you.
Listen, if you're out there practicing and working on your craft, you're like way ahead of most people.
Exactly.
And you're doing something that is cool and admirable. Comic Sans Sheriff. Hey, all, excited for Drawclass critique tomorrow. I'd love feedback, especially in rendering line art. I struggle a lot with losing the original energy of the sketch when it comes to inking, which we did talk about earlier.
Here we go again.
It's either feeling stiff and constrained or feeling too loose and messy. I think that this middle piece, I think, is a great example of it being loose and messy being a feature, and not a bug. Like, I think this looks really cool, especially in the face and hair.
Yeah, like this is just a lovely ink drawing.
I feel like if you like, it starts to lose me here on the body, where it gets a little bit too like you weren't able to make a decision on the shoulder here. But you could do like a second pass at the parts of this that lack clarity, like the body, but still like sketch them the way you sketched this up here. And I think that would look great. Like, you don't have to ink it in the traditional sense of inking, like Karina always says.
Yeah.
Just do another sketch layer that's a little bit.
Yeah, like I think this is a nice inking style already. So.
And it's like, if you zoom in really close, like, sure, you can tell where it's like scratchy, but if you zoom out to here.
Yeah, like it just kind of depends like on your style. Like, it's nice to have clean inks, but also like sometimes it's just not your style. The comic I'm doing color work for right now, the person doing all of the drawing and the line art, incredibly scratchy, incredibly sketchy, but like it works.
Yeah, it all just depends on, like, if this resonates more with you to draw this way, then refine what you've already got going for you. Like, if you enjoy doing it this way, then just make this better rather than trying to like totally shift gears. I just zoom all the way out again.
Can you be less enthusiastic, please? Ooh.
A lot of detail on this.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, the weapon and armor, beautiful.
I really like this pose here as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I think you're on the right track.
Yeah. Like this middle one, I feel is like the strongest one. I feel like with the one on the right, I think I can kind of see where like you're uncertain about like your inking style, especially around the face. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's like, to me, it's still a very energetic drawing if that's what you're going for.
Yeah,
the motion
totally.
in the fabric around the waist is really cool. All the detailing is super cool. So
Yeah,
but
I would definitely say my usual advice of like, you know, I think the pose could be pushed a little more. If this is like a person who's like attacking or doing like a martial art, I feel like, because this was clearly like, I think was drawn from like a pose reference,
yeah.
and you can see like the energy and like dynamism here. And I feel like this feels a little stiffer, but it probably wasn't drawn from reference if I had to guess. So yeah, if you work on more like reference pieces of people with weapons doing weapon poses, you can start trying to get a little more of that energy. Because oftentimes I think people mistake where the energy of the drawing comes from. And they're like, oh, the inks are making it seem stiff. And it's oftentimes the pose that is more stiff instead.
Yeah. And all the same applies about what we said before about inking and stuff. So.
But yeah, I think you're totally on the right track. I really like this piece. I think it's got like a very nice confidence to it. Keep it up.
Yeah, good work.
Keep it up. Good work.
Thank you.
Okay, we're done with the layers I have. We're on to the layers I don't have.
Oh my god.
Okay, and there's just a few of these, so we're not too bad.
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine. This is fine.
Okay, next we have Palisade. They said, hey there, I'm new to both the Discord and art in general. I only started Discord about 2 months ago. No, I only started digital art 2 months ago,
yeah,
not
like,
Discord.
What are you talking about?
I'm not talking about anything. Don't listen to me, please.
Never have.
We'll put a few of these here.
Ooh. We'll put exactly 3 of them here.
They said, I am a costumer.
Whoa.
An aspiring designer, and I guess I'm just kind of looking for pointers based on some of the costume sketches I've already done so I can keep improving and making everything better and look a bit more real.
I had a feeling you were a costumer based on these.
They said they won't be here live, but they're going to watch the VOD.
Okay.
So
Hello,
VOD watcher.
Hello in the future.
Wasn't important enough to be here live, huh?
Fair enough.
So yeah, we'll talk about these, I guess, from the costume design sort of angle.
These are all like historic costumes, so historical.
An historical costume.
Yeah, the costume of all time. I preface with that because I feel like I lack a lot of context for that sort of thing. So sorry if I'm like, duh.
Yeah. I get the sense that like the poses might be like a trace over.
Yeah.
They've got kind of like that rotoscope feel.
Yeah.
Which is fine because you're working on like costume design, not posing. And so I think it's hard for me to say because I'm not a costume designer.
Yeah, like I mean, that's why I'm just like, I feel like I lack a lot of context because I don't really know that much about armor or like the time periods in which these are coming from. I do like this piratey looking fella. I like the patterning on the like overcoat. I feel like it gives a lot of insight into what a fella this is because it's more fun.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think the pirate is the strongest one in my mind because I can tell something about the character from this outfit.
Yeah.
Whereas like these are kind of more
armor based.
I think if there's like a way to include more of those like touches of the person's character,
Yeah.
in the outfit. I'm always a huge fan of that. Like,
yeah, because if you're gonna ask the two of us about character design, we're gonna be like, oh, it needs to kind of like reflect them more as a person, which I don't really know how much of that can go into like an armored character from like the distant past.
yeah, I don't know either.
And that's not like on this person submitting. That's on us. Because we're just like funny little cartoon boys who watch anime. So but yeah, I think that's kind of why we're like drawn to the pirate one the most, because it's like, oh, there's more details to grasp on there. Because with like the I'm gonna like say the wrong thing, like Trojan Knight,
like a centurion or something.
yeah, like I'm like, okay, so like the crest is the tree. I don't really know what that means. And then other than that, it's like pretty straightforward. So I just, that's why I don't have as much to comment on it, and I'm sorry for that, dear patron, but yeah, that's why I'm just like, ooh, pirate with many details.
Yeah, I feel the same. We always approach from a character design perspective as opposed to a costume design perspective. Because like maybe these are just supposed to be like dudes that are in an army.
Yeah,
like, I
do like the center one as well. And
it's like a Star Wars knight.
It's one way of putting it. Yeah, I'm not super sure, but just the fact that I assume are kind of like battle worn, like they're dirty. He's a dirty boy.
Yeah.
Got grass stains. He was playing soccer.
I would say that I think a lot of the places you're going to improve are just through practice. Because like the line art's a bit shaky. There's a lot of like shakiness to it in general that comes from like just being early in the sort of process.
Yeah, 2 months is not a long time.
It is not a long time. So honestly, I think the main thing you could do to improve is just draw more so that the physical part of it becomes easier to you. And that'll just come with its own natural improvements.
Yeah, because what little I know about like fashion drawing and costume drawing, like being able to also show how the fabric moves, how the costume moves, can be part of it. And like, the more you practice your actual technique, the more you'll be able to do things like that. And that'll be really cool to work into your designs.
Totally. Just keep drawing from reference of other like costumes and stuff, and you'll get better and better.
Yeah. These are very cool.
Okay, next we've got
Ribbon Road. Hello again.
Oh, is Ribbon Road next?
On my screen. I'm on the Discord.
Well, I have streamer mode on, so some people's names don't show up.
Oh, I can read it. Yeah, Ribbon Road with the pink icon.
Yes. All right,
Hello.
let's put these down here.
I remember you from the last critique. Why do the names disappear in streamer mode? It's so stupid.
But only some of them.
Yeah. I like that mine's does. D. ...
It's so that like you don't dox people, but then why is it not all of them?
Yeah, it's only some of them.
Okay, so Ribbon Road said, I've been working on coloring since the last critique, and good news is I think I've gotten better at picking colors.
Yay!
I agree, I like the colors you picked here in these.
So fun.
The bad news is I've not gotten any better at shading. I'm trying to figure out cell shading, but figuring out where the shadows go and what shapes they make is challenging me. I've tried to draw the light source on the canvas and figure out where the shadows go from their thing, but I'm still baffled. Pictured here is an attempt at shading that went horribly wrong first, and then also some other guys I haven't tried shading yet, but I still have no idea where to start with. Okay, so you want to know how to do cell shading.
You want to know.
So you want to know how to do cell shading on some anime style characters. Well, I got some news for you.
Oh, baby.
You should look at anime. This is not a joke.
Anyway, next.
We need to look at like what if I just like Google like, you know, Vash the Stampede.
Oh, I do that 3 times a day.
And let's take a look at like an image of Vash. People are honking outside.
It's one of those days. They're like, hurry up.
I want to find one that's like at sort of a similar angle. one of these.
Yeah, it is like a good point to make, because I've always just kind of like picked things for like my art style. I'm like, that looks like a cool way to draw that. Yes. And then I'll just do it, and I'll just like learn how to do it, and then I'm like, I don't actually know how to like shade this. And so I'll just like look at the fucking art, like the anime again. I'm like, that's how they do it, so that's how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that's exactly
Just steal.
the point I'm trying to make here is like, look at professional art and then get it next to your art, and then be like, okay, let me get up like a shading color, and then be like, what parts, where do they define the shadow or the shadow lines, like in this light source that they're doing?
Yeah.
Be like, okay, so they define it on the nose, and it hits like the bridge of the nose and down, and then like out this way a bit. So let's put one there. There's one under the lip here, sort of at the chin divot. Let's put one there. Like we got sort of a face contour one that goes up this way. The whole ear is in shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do this. This part of like the eye here.
I love this character.
This part is in shadow. And this part is in shadow. And then there's shadows where the hair hits the head. Don't ask me why I decided to use this like nasty brush for all of this.
I wasn't going to, but
it's just what I've done.
Sometimes I wonder.
There's other ways I could have done it, but I didn't, did I?
Nah.
Then we got like, it's not the exact same pose, but you can follow like sort of the neck down. And just like work out stuff this way. There's like shadow on top of the shoulders. It's not going to be like 1-to-1, but you're just like trying stuff out. And like this is how you learn.
I feel like part of why my like rendering shit has been so cranked lately is because I keep like reading new like webtoons and being like, I like this, and then I'll try like stealing their swag, and then I'll just confuse myself and be like, I forgot how to draw literally fucking anything. I forgot how I did it before, and I'm not doing it that well this way, so
but like that's how you like improve,
Yeah,
it like confuses you for a bit.
I'll figure it out eventually, but like
but then you like figure out a way to incorporate it.
Yeah, I've been so easily distracted lately that just keeps happening, and then I don't fix it.
No, I get it. I'm the same way.
Ayo.
So yeah, this is just like a way to practice, just like find, and you could even like focus it more by like finding a character reference image and drawing a character in a similar pose and then trying to shade it the way they shaded it.
Yeah, like literally if I just like see something where I'm like, ooh, I like the way they did that, I'll just save the image. I have a whole folder on my phone that's just like images that I want to like try out, like to use as reference if I want to try out a new technique. It's my inspo TBH folder, and it's just full of like titty pics. So I know how to shade them better. It's great.
I'm seeing Ribbon say, I feel like I have the most trouble with hair because I do weird hair shapes, so I don't have anyone to steal from. I guarantee you there are people that do hair similar to how you do hair.
Also, I gotta be real, like you can just make it up.
Yeah, you could just make it up.
Just treat it like a foam hat.
Yeah, I always
someone
think of
who,
it in chunks.
yeah, because like that's not what hair looks like. Hair isn't chunks. Hair isn't locks. It's singular strands, just thousands of them. So you can kind of just stylize it however you see fit. So
Yeah, you just think of it like a big weird shape.
yeah, because I do it as big chunks. So the way one can think of it is like, like look at how people do cosplay wigs. You just kind of form it into chunks.
Just chunk it.
Yeah, just chunk it. And then
And I would add some highlights too to the hair. That always helps.
I did try making it
Define
up
the
with
shape.
Mr. Pink Guy and was like, well, that looks quite wrong.
I see where you're
Well,
coming from here.
yeah, I think part of that is that no, it's not super following a light source. And also, I mean, that's the main thing, really.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It just needs to be from like a concrete light source, which it looks like this character is being lit basically from the front.
Yeah, just go. That's my mind like turning into a like 3 polygon shape, and just like do that to the hair and think of it as like a hat, like a foam hat. And then yeah, because if I like when I do a character with long hair, a lot of the hair that like goes behind the back is going to end up in shadow the way I view it. But yeah,
I'm just showcasing a way to like kind of put in your mind how this would work. This is a shape you use a lot for your locks. It's like here and it's all of these. So like isolate this shape and be like, okay, if light was hitting this part here would be the part the closest to the light source. So this would be a highlight, and then like this would be slowly going into shadow as it went that way. This would be going into shadow as it dipped in here. And so you can kind of like figure out how light would hit this shape. And then it would be like hitting some of the top here of this bit. And kind of experiment like this. Be like, okay, if light was hitting this, how would it look? You know, would it be something like this? Kind of. And you can mess around with it and like see like what looks good.
And you can also just like, because like you have a lot of these like shapes in the shape of the hair, so you don't even have to go lock by lock. You can just do like
chunk by chunk.
Yeah, chunk by chunk, because
the by boring
like like the way I would approach it is the bangs are kind of like the top, and the bangs are all kind of one plane, and then the bits on the side, like the bits in front of the ear, those are their own thing. And so like the bangs would be casting some shadow down onto the side bits. Look at this stanced up this like weird dog. But then those would still come out of the shadow, but then also have their own shadow, etc. Like it's hard to explain without using visuals, but you know, Jacob knows.
I know what you're saying, because I mean I do the same thing. I think a lot of artists do. I also think about it as like bangs in front, side bits, back stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, try thinking of it like that and like shading each one of those kind of as their own thing.
Close at hand. I was like, it's like a fucking Nendoroid or something, where it's just like, okay, I got one close at hand. Neodon, can I take you apart? Where it's like the bangs are its own bit. Just break it down like a Nendoroid. Yeah. So like this will kind of have the light priority, and then like this will come second. Just break it down into little bits, like a toy.
Yeah, and try to find like, you know, anime character wavy hair. Here we go. We got some wavy hair here.
My favorite wavy hair anime character, Nia Gurren Lagann.
Oh yeah. She kind of has hair like this.
Yeah, she's peak.
Look at this. Take a look at this girl right here.
Take a look at this snout.
That hair is very similar to what you did.
Yeah, she's my fave.
And like hers is obviously approached strangely, intentionally.
Yeah.
She has a very unique style to the way her hair works.
But even, because her hair is meant to kind of look like a sky and clouds. But even in because like there's not a lot of shading going on in her hair, but like there's some subtle shading as it goes, like on the long parts down the back, like it's kind of like getting darker as it goes down. But even in the blue on the hair, like kind of follows what we're saying of just like, the bangs have like the blue underside but it's like remains separate from the bits down the side.
Yeah.
And like it's just 3 planes.
Check this
top end
out.
bangs, little side bits, like bottom.
This character also has similar hair.
Yeah.
And an extreme lighting situation. And you can see how like this is like a thing.
Chunks.
This is a thing. This is a thing.
Sun.
So yeah, just try to find reference of something similar to what you're looking for and then experiment with it. And keep what works and get rid of what doesn't work. But yeah, I really like the way your characters look.
Yeah.
I really like
cool.
this character a lot.
Yeah.
Just my vibe.
Twirls hair.
But yeah, great facial expression here. Love the faces. I think you're doing great. Just keep at it. Work from reference of professional artists. You'll be good.
Woo.
Okay.
Next.
We spent too long on that one.
We got really excited about wavy hair.
We got excited about hair.
We got excited about hair in general. I started reaching around for figures.
All right. Kevbot here has a lot of pieces, so I'm just going to pick a couple.
Yeah. You get 3.
We'll put
You
this
get 3
one.
tops.
Of course, that's not going to... Sometimes on Discord, it just doesn't let me copy and paste the image.
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? What image?
For like no reason that I can discern. Just paste it. There we go. Probably because it's the most enormous image ever to have been created.
Oh, I remember this one though. Massive.
So big.
So big.
All right, so we'll put that there. And then we will get another one. Oh, there's like some cool whiteboard stuff. How fun.
Yeah, how fun.
I don't really have much of a critique for the whiteboard stuff.
Yeah, it looks cool. That's my critique. The line work is very detailed.
I mean, I think a lot of this looks great.
Yeah. You have such a range.
Yeah, big range.
Damn.
Do you see one you think would be good to...
My brain's starting to do that thing. Because this one is like a good overall style where it's like not super following a reference, I think.
Yeah.
Because like this one's really designy. I don't know if we're going for that. Maybe the red panda.
Red panda.
I feel like I'm trying to find ones that are like indicative of like your style.
Yes. We'll go with these 2.
Yeah.
And let's see what they said. They said, always trying to get in more practice and improve. I appreciate any tips on working more with digital and ideas of things I could work on for practice. Let's see. I don't have a ton of fully polished and complete works, but we're getting there. Thanks for any feedback and for being part of getting me back into art and trying out digital art at all. You all are the best.
Aw.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, you have a really wide range of stuff. I think you're really good at like working from reference and like, copying art style, which is a good technique to have because you can, ideally apply what you learn from doing that to your own work as well. I think the Pawtectives piece, while I do really like it, is very cute. It does have, believe it or not, some values issues.
Always gotta remember, Check your values.
We got some glowing eyes here that are
not glowing.
That are like a mid-gray. Yeah. And I think from this light source, we should have more light on Moonpaw. Highlighting Moonpaw more.
Yeah, because I think part of what it is that there isn't any specific shading. It's kind of airbrushed in.
Yes.
So like you have like the glow effect, but there's no actual indication of the planes of this character.
Yeah. I think generally we can just,
yeah,
you know, add a little bit of this.
Yeah.
We're still losing a lot of shape back here with this figure. I do think, like Karina said, highlighting the planes of the character specifically would really help with some hard shading. So that's something you could definitely work on, is like looking at light source reference and how it like affects different objects and planes and trying to incorporate more of that. I do see like some of it like here.
Yeah.
And here.
It's very coy. It's shy.
Yeah, it's very shy. And I think there might just be too much of like the black airbrushing is making things get a little lost back here.
Because like shading with black and especially airbrushing it in will kind of muddy up the overall image. Because like if your line art's in black and then your shading is in black and it's at like a different softness, that can be kind of like confusing visually, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I want to see like more of this background.
Yeah.
Because you did a really nice job with it.
Strong.
So yeah, just work on that.
Yeah.
This guy's very cute. The birth red panda.
You do be birth. I feel like there's a lot of dark colors that are getting lost in the brown, like the blue of the eyes I didn't even notice at first. And the shading is kind of very dark. It's very cute. I just think it can
There it is.
Pop more. The fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I think if we just not like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's definitely getting, you need more distinguishing here. Like some highlights could help or shadows, but make sure this stuff is like looking different from each other. Yeah, cool work and such a wide variety.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing.
Okay, we just got a few more. Let's take a look at Lee. They said, hey guys, new to this tier, but I decided to get myself a little crit as a treat. I'm wanting to get some book cover gigs, so I'm making like I'm back in art school and doing my own covers for some of my faves. Any crit you guys have would be super appreciated, and some of my usual art for context. Okay, let's take a look. These are very cute.
Yeah. Oh, these are lovely.
All right, let's find some good ones here.
I leave it to you.
You leave it to me?
Yeah, it's your stream.
What? I gotta do it?
Yeah.
Okay, I love the colors on this one.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to showcase it.
I love a good like full saturation blue contrast with red, and when the eyes are colored in.
Yeah.
I love it. Also, they're in chat. I'm so nerviose. Don't be nerviose.
Don't be nerviose.
Nervous.
I love how you rendered this one
as well. Yeah, it's beautiful.
What you did with the fabric here and the face.
So
That's
cute.
Really nice. I will say though, all three of these share a common issue.
Uh-oh.
That I think is something, it's an easy fix. Arms too short. We got arms too short in every one of these. These are the closest to being right.
Yeah, that one I didn't I couldn't really tell.
but the elbows are still a little bit high. You got distracted by how beautiful this fabric is.
That is true, and how cute the face is.
But in this one and in this one, the arms are definitely too short. The elbow needs to come down to like the bottom of the rib cage. And then when the arm comes down, it should be at like mid-thigh, basically. And like if you look at this arm, if you like unfurled it and went down, it would kind of come to the hip-ish. So just make sure when you're drawing that you're making the arms long enough. And I said this earlier, but a good way to test that is to find reference images and then draw next to the reference and then move what you drew on top of the reference to see how much shorter you made the arms than they should be. Because it can be really hard to see until you start comparing it directly.
Yeah.
It's something I've done a lot because I got similar problems where I'll make like legs too short or I'll make every character too stocky if I'm trying to draw from reference. And then I put it over and I'm like, I couldn't even tell it was wrong until I did this. But I love your colors.
Yeah.
I love your rendering.
Yeah. I did want to talk about the book cover one because that sounds like something you're doing like
Yes, let me get
as
that in
like a project for yourself to like work on stuff. And I think this is a lovely book cover. I feel like it's overall very soft. Like the colors are very soft in a way that kind of makes it difficult for anything to particularly stand out. And the words are also kind of like the text is hard to read.
Yeah.
Because I can see princess very clearly. The ever after is too small. Then the script is too fine that even with the border, it's like a little difficult. So I think if that's something you're interested in doing, to practice more with integrating the text in a way that's very readable. Again, my test tends to be, you know, I'm zoomed out. I squint. What am I losing? And it's the smaller words, but
yeah.
I think like the overall color palette is really beautiful and it's like soft on purpose, but that does kind of lose the white text in the border and yeah, and it doesn't provide that much contrast to the text that's over the image. So
And I definitely want to bring the energy of these lighting and shading situations on the left and right to this middle one. This one's got like a much softer and more timid style of shading.
Yeah.
Which is like these over here like pop so much. I want that pop on the cover.
Yeah. Because like I think it's like a beautiful color palette and a beautiful cover.
I agree.
But it does kind of lack the pop. And I think part of why maybe you did that was so that the text would be easier to lay over it. But I think since the text is a little unsuccessful as a whole, I'm just like, oh, it can use more contrast because the black outline kind of isn't accomplishing anything right now. So yeah. But and that's not a bad thing. We're learning here.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like hard to work text into an illustration, especially in something that's like, you know, not purely decorative, like it's meant to be read.
Yeah.
So, but that's just something that with like more work, you'll be able to figure out.
And I definitely recommend, like we talked about with dealing with word balloons in comics, when you're like doing your composition sketches for the cover, incorporate those words into the composition like they were visual elements, like they were pieces of the art. And think of them that way rather than like as text that you put over the drawing. Think of the text as like part of the drawing and try to like maybe approach it from that direction.
I was more inspired by shoujo manga covers on the book cover. Oh, I totally see that.
Yeah,
I used Cardcaptor Sakura as reference, but it's not a style I usually use. I definitely see what you mean. Yeah, no, like I think like it's a really lovely cover. I just love like the overall, like, you know, you get the background with the like setting and then like the spooky wolf and then the characters. I think it's like really well laid out. I think the main flaw is kind of just that the text isn't like wasn't super laid out super well, and because of that, it kind of like muddles the entire intent.
Yeah, I'm just bringing in this Sakura cover as a since it was like
My
a reference point.
beloved.
I think it's
But
the clarity of this text because it's such a dark color compared to the background.
I think once
it
you just
pops
kind
out.
of futz with the text more,
Mm-hmm.
that'll like really start to pull it together. But the main problem is that the ever and after are just like impossible to read.
Yeah.
They're too small and the script is too fine for the way it currently is. Because I don't know like how much like it didn't come off to me as like an afterthought. It's like you didn't plan where the words would go ahead of time. I think it was just the font choice.
Yeah, I think
That's
so
my
too.
impression.
I think it could
But
definitely
yeah.
work.
I think you're on a wonderful track. I love so much of the stuff you submitted. Thank you.
Yeah, great work, and thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Okay, next. Ellen Vox Phantasma. Excited for Drawclass. I felt sort of stuck in my art for a while now. I'd love any feedback at all. I especially struggle with coloring, and I often find my finished pieces to feel kind of stiff. All right, let's take a look.
Let's go. Oh, pothead. Wait.
We don't condone drugs.
Hold up.
There's-
Cowgirl. B-stars.
I really love the decorative elements in these.
Yeah.
I'm getting major Julia vibes
Yeah, hello.
from some of these pieces.
Oh, I love the cowgirl one too. The palette of it is so.
Yeah, there's this
Julia peeking in.
saying this gave me Julia vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said they were concerned about coloring and the pieces feeling stiff.
Ah.
I
Sorry, you go.
I was gonna say I really like your color choices in these two pieces with the more muted palettes. I feel like you chose really nicely. They have like that
Yeah.
antique vintage look. I feel like this one, the colors get a little muddy to me just because there's like so many of them. And I don't feel like they have, like on this cactus, there's a lot of color. And it's like supposed to be like psychedelic, but maybe they're not like bright enough or not organized enough or something. So that it's like hitting my eye as being more muddy rather than like vibrant.
Yeah. I mean, I really like the coloring on this one, but maybe I'm just funky like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about it's not working as well for me, but that could also be a
Maybe.
taste issue.
Yeah, I'm just like, it could be a very much a taste issue.
Maybe I have bad taste.
Because I'm just like, I like the blue and the red on the cactus. That's such a choice. I love it. It's very like paint on canvas to me. The kind of like gentle orangey kind of peachy color that's in there, I feel like isn't doing the work that the others are doing. I think because it stands out too much. I think part of why I like the red and the blue is because it is kind of close in value to the green. And then the yellow kind of acts as a highlight, but that kind of like pinky, peachy orange near the bottom of the cactus is maybe what's like detracting from it rather than helping. But I'm a defender of this piece.
I'm not attacking
cool.
the piece. I think it's a cool piece.
You're not. Yeah,
right?
It's really cool.
You piece?
No, these are all wonderful.
Yeah, I think I really like them as a whole. I think any stiffness in like pose, I think the poses are pretty good. I
think the fact that these are presented as kind of more like for lack of a better way of putting it, they're framed. They look like gallery pieces, and in that it kind of harkens more to like classical art, classical paintings, stuff you'd see in a museum. So because like the last one, the portrait of the two ladies, like in a way that is kind of stiff in that it's like a still pose, but it in my head, I saw it and I was like, oh, this is kind of like referential or like referencing, classical portraits where, they'd just be sitting there looking beautiful. So I think the fact that they are presented to us as like it's in a gold frame, that one's in these like Art Deco kind of compositions, like it comes off as like referencing those art styles and those eras in a way that like makes it look really complete.
Yeah, I agree. I felt the same way. I think, as per usual, my advice for if you were concerned about pose stiffness and you wanted to work on it, gesture drawing always helps, but I think what helps maybe even more than that is looking at other professional artists, like especially like animators. Like if you follow like professional animators on like Instagram or something, and they post like stills from their work, like the poses in like animators' work are always like so pushed and so like exciting because they're literally moving the characters. So like it gets like a whole different realm of like that exaggeration. If you want to look for like poses that are going to be a little more dynamic, that's my recommendation. I like to look at professional animators stuff. Shall we move on?
Yes, these are beautiful.
Yeah, I really like these.
I do like that
this one.
Yeah, I do like that you draw a lot of inspiration from kind of like different art styles, different periods in like art history. And I think that helps your work a lot in terms of presentation. Like it just looks nice.
It's cool. What can I say?
Yeah.
It's cool, and I'm tired of pretending it's not.
No one was.
I'm sick of it. Okay, final four. We got Error BT34. They said, I've been dying for some critique on my art to fuel my positivity towards my art so I can be happier with it. I think the main thing I could ask for is color advice, shading process advice, and whether or not my anatomy is reasonably all right so far.
Reasonably all right. Let's go.
Okay, we'll get this one in here.
Ooh, I see a dragon with big tits.
I see it as well.
I see a lot of characters with huge oingo boingos. Let's go.
What a blessing. Actually, I quite like the shading in this one.
Yeah, this is very just like my yowies.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to refer to your work that way, unless you like that.
Okay, I feel like these three are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the shading here you did on this face.
Yeah.
I feel like it seems to me like you're working from reference here.
There is a overall like webtoon aesthetic that this does harken for me. I can't like think off the top of my head any of the titles, but yeah, like I'm like, oh yeah, you've like really nailed it.
Yeah, but I think this is like a great example of like when you're looking at how someone has shaded a face and being like, let me shade the same places and like learn how to shade it based on like how other artists do it.
Yeah.
Like that's what you should be doing. And the oingo boingos. Chef's kiss.
Yeah. I think that one, like, it looks great. No real notes on like the posing or anatomy or anything, but it's also a very passive pose that's like cropped down. So
yeah.
But yeah, the shading treatment on this one is like, ooh, so pretty.
And I like what you've done here as well with the shading.
Oh
you have a very clear light source.
The dribble.
Like I don't think the shading in this one is like, perfect. Like I think you're missing like where this thing right here would cast a shadow on the face, or where like there'd be some shadow here in like the hair.
Yeah, the hand is a little
but
off.
I like it because I can tell you're like thinking about where this light is coming from.
That's just learning.
And like what it would be hitting. So you're like thinking along the right lines. And you got like a rim lighting effect over here. I think it could be a little stronger even.
Yeah, don't be shy. What's
To
there to
really-
be shy about? You already drew the big tits and the drool.
And the tongue.
Yeah,
The
oh
luscious
my
tongue.
Yeah, there's such a strong highlight on the tongue. Bring that energy everywhere. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I'm being silly because I enjoy these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think these are wonderful, these two. There's
I think-
definitely some anatomy stuff that
Yeah.
once, because I think like you were good in particular about cropping those two, and like they look great. This one I can definitely see where there's like anatomy stuff where it's just like you just got to work on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you've definitely got weaknesses with the shoulders down, sort of like body anatomy. Aside from the fact that this dude is like basically invisible down here
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the values.
It might also be part of what's like throwing me.
But I can reveal him.
Reveal him to me. I want to know more about him.
You cannot hide him from me. I will reveal his body.
Wow.
His face, when I reveal him too much, his face gets entirely washed out.
Yeah, you're turning him Genshin white, as they say.
Genshin
I saw that on Twitter today, and I was like,
Yeah, so if we are looking at this feller here, definitely anatomy issues. The torso is too long this time. His hips are kind of like a little flat.
yeah.
And then I think because the torso is too long, it's making the arms look this arm looks a little short.
I also do think just proportionally, like, just like I'm gonna sound like such a fucking slut. Just like, proportionally, I think like all the energy has kind of gone into the titties, and he looks top heavy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think his
Where
neck
even
is a
even
little-
sitting down, like it's just
he's missing some neck.
Mhm.
But this is all like stuff that you'll just learn through practice.
Yeah, like you're already doing so much practicing. Like I can tell in the other two that you do a lot of like thinking about what you're doing
Totally.
and improving. So like that's just gonna come with time.
And the hair rendering is very nice.
Yeah. Ooh, I
This
love those
situation
highlight
here,
shapes.
Those are great highlight shapes. I love that.
Yeah.
So it's funny because you can always see like what an artist cares about the most in their drawing, and like this person clearly really loved doing this hair, and they really love doing the big old bazongers.
Mwah. Just
And
like
I
me.
respect it so much.
Just like Daddy.
But yeah, just don't neglect your other duties with the rest of the
Yeah.
body, and you'll get there. You're definitely on the right track.
Yeah, just bring that same energy. Just give him like huge thighs.
Yeah, think of every
Artist
body part.
hack.
Every body part is a titty. Treat them all like titties of different shapes.
So true.
What's this person's name, Karina? The next person.
Ette the Kraken. Ette. E-T-T-E. The Kraken. Ette.
Either way,
Either way.
we got some studies here. I think these are quite nice.
Studies. Oh shit. Yeah.
I don't have any problem with this.
Oh my goodness. I love the one doing the full
This one?
I don't know.
Or
Oh
this
yeah,
one?
that one as well. But yeah, the one doing the full I was gonna go magnifying glass.
Yeah, I was immediately drawn to this figure and this figure. I think these poses are excellent.
Yeah. The action of them is so wonderful.
They said in their message it's probably too late. Well, it wasn't too late.
Yeah, we're still here.
But I quit drawing for about 6 months now, and I'm trying to claw my way back to my previous skill level. Any critiques or help on where to focus would be appreciated. Your studies look really nice.
Yeah.
Like, I think you already have a great deal of knowledge and skill on drawing the human form.
Yeah.
I don't really have much advice other than like keep practicing on this.
Yeah. I mean, my main thing is that keep making sure you get the whole pose down. Because I on the left here, like some of them aren't quite finished. I don't know, because like again, depending on how fast these are, because like I can tell these aren't long drawings, but like assuming that they're at least semi-timed, just be sure that in whatever time you take to like do any sort of study, like you're getting everything down, all the way down like toe to tip, because it's nice to get this like really nice like finished torso, but I don't have any arm information. And part of learning anatomy, and I mean part of why like these two in the corner are like so striking is because you've gotten so much information about them, like the lines of action. You have every like body part drawn, you know, to kind of like give all the information you need about exactly what this pose is doing, etc. And that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. And another like, oh my god, I had a thought and then I like lost it instantly. Gosh darn it. I feel like the ones that are, I'm kind of assuming here that the ones that are more complete, like this one on the left, are a longer one. Just judging by his pose, because if they're just doing like a standing pose, maybe that's a longer pose or something. Vary up the sizes, because these all look quite small, which is just like, okay, if you're doing like a fast one, like do it smaller. But if you're doing like a longer study, like go bigger, go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, just make sure you're like, if you're doing studies, especially if you're doing them timed, which I'm just assuming you are, maybe you're not, it doesn't matter. But make sure you're like not honing in too directly on something. It's like how my old drawing teacher used to say, your drawing is a baby. You got to feed every part of it or else it'll die.
Not how babies work.
No, that's how you got to feed the feet. You got to feed the hands, the fingernails, feed it all. But yeah, because some of them I'm like, okay, you took the time to draw in the face, but you didn't really get a lot of information on like other things like the legs or something. And it should be, especially if you're like doing studies, you can get information about everything. And then if you have more time, you just go back and like, you do it in like waves. But maybe I'm also just biased because I never like drawing the model's face. I get shy. But yeah, that's just like my general advice about doing figure studies, because these are like already really nice.
Yeah, I think you're headed down the right path for getting better at this stuff. There's
just always like more to do at any point as an artist. It's exhausting.
I would say another tip, perhaps if you're doing a lot of studies from reference, is also try to do some drawing from imagination as well, interspersed within there. Like try to do a bunch of pose studies and then try to draw a pose just like off the dome.
Yeah, Ed says these were timed-ish. Yeah, I mean that's the gist I got, but and I'm kind of under the assumption that these weren't live model sessions. So like, if that means you can take as much time as you need. So
yeah.
Maybe you can do longer ones. Usually I'm like, no, do them faster. But yeah, just like go big, go long. As an animation major, like we mostly did 10 minutes or less for figure drawings, like almost exclusively. Sometimes we would do a 20-minute one, but there was exactly one class where we did an hour and a half figure drawing. And that I'm just like, whoa. And they were huge. So, that's just like a different, just keep doing more, trying new stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are great.
Yeah, great work. Moving on.
Woo.
We got two more.
We're so close.
Oh, what's this next person's name? Karina.
Chemicult.
Oh, it's Chemicult.
Chemicult.
Okay, let's get this down here. They said, if there is time, I've been working on this one for a while. I've been struggling with making sense of the hands and the overall energy of the piece. I think the body layers look fine enough, but once I add the clothes, I feel like things become a lot more stiff and dull. So any advice would be appreciated. Yeah, you've kind of gone with a tough pose / angle here.
Yeah.
I think you've done generally a good job with it.
Yeah, no, like this is correct.
I would suggest keeping in mind with the clothes, especially the 3-dimensionality of them. This arm right here would be coming more like towards us because you got this stick that's like receding this way. So the arm would be doing the same thing. So you can have the fabric open up, you know, out like this. And then this, it would kind of meet at more of a 3D angle there. So if you keep in mind that sort of thing, that can help the clothes look a little different. You can also consider if there was like, if the character's walking, maybe there's like some wind or something. So you could have it, you know, like flowing a bit.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a big ass like flowy cloak, you might as well just have it like whooshing out.
Yeah.
Because you were saying that once you added the clothes, you felt like it was becoming stiff. And I think part of why is because you're covering up the spine, which will like help indicate, you know, more to the pose. Because like with this pose, it's kind of like, oh my God, I'm just gonna start saying bullshit if I don't like stop and think. I'm like, the bean is covered by the cloak, but
uncover the bean.
Uncover the bean, please. Well, because like the line, like the pose of the spine is gonna indicate, because it's like a bit of a walking pose. Is that,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that when you put the cloak on, it's just draped there, it completely covers any sort of curve on the back of the character. So I think that's why it's like feeling stiff to you. So if you have it like flowing out like Jacob did, not only does that give, like, you can even have the opening kind of like flow out even more since the arms are raised. So it'll kind of be like, that'll raise the hem of the fabric so that it'll show more of the like person's back. And that will add a bit, like that'll kind of alleviate some of that stiffness that you feel, I think.
I think so too, yeah.
Did I say anything just now?
You did, yeah. Having the cloak flow out of the way, I think, was a great call. Because that like reveals more of the body information about like the walking pose here.
Yeah.
And then I do think that with the angle, the hand, I drew based on the art and then not on my own drawing. The hand would be turned this other direction based on the angle that we're looking at the person at. And then this arm right here is in a bit of a difficult position.
But I think it makes sense. Like,
yeah, I think it
like
works.
You placed it correctly. Like this is.
I just
like,
might tweak it.
Yeah, it might like the hand might have to turn a little bit to since you've added a bit more like 3D depth to the stick, but no, the pose is technically correct.
Yeah, I mean,
it would be foreshortened, but it's there.
If it were me, I would probably change the pose.
Yeah.
Just because it's a little bit of an uncomfortable position. I'd probably do maybe like a dangle like this.
Yeah.
Or something, just to get more of that arm in there.
Yeah, if you wanted to keep it kind of as is, maybe it would be hanging. I'm doing that off camera like a genius. It would be like hanging over it a bit. Yeah. Instead of like hanging directly on it. This is a very foreshortened hold, and I was just like impressed that you got it at all. But I guess to make sense, like it would have a little bit more hang, like maybe even not that much, but at the wrist.
Yeah, there's like multiple ways you could approach it. Like you could cheat it a bit. You could definitely also do like the wrist hang like this. It's kind of just like this.
Yeah, exactly.
And then going around and over. You could experiment with some stuff to make it work.
Like, I guess that and like the one that you did initially, they also convey different personalities.
Very true, they do.
Yeah, so
you would know better on that front. But Yeah, try having that cloak billow a bit. If they're moving, the cloak will not be hanging straight.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's just a breeze, like you can just put it, like you can just have it billowing out anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, have it billow.
Yeah, no notes on the possum. Possum is perfect. Oh, and EBT34 passed out and woke up at the tail end, watched it back. Thank you so much for the advice. Yeah, your stuff's cool. Thank you for submitting.
Really cool. Thank you for submitting.
Thanks for waking up. Sorry we were boring you.
We got one more here.
Ah!
From Todd Football.
Todd Football, the most patient among us.
And the most football.
The most football. Also, I think because there's 2 comic pages, they said they showed up in reverse order. Todd Football. Todd Football, you've been here this whole stream.
Oh my god, Todd Football.
Todd Football.
Tafuba.
What was that one Tumblr post? I don't even remember what it was exactly, but it's just a picture of a newspaper of someone yelling and it just says Fuba. Fuba.
Okay, I mean, this looks really sick.
So fucking cool.
I think your like rendering and colors are like great.
Yeah, Tafuba said, looking for critiques on use of color and shading mostly, and any wonky anatomy or stiff posing, I guess.
Yeah, I think I got no problems with this piece right here.
Yeah, this spread, beautiful. I love like the face, the rendering on the face with the effects.
Yeah.
So good.
The rendering is really nice. I think you got that definitely down.
Yeah, Fuba.
Great facial expressions. The way you like drop the jaw open and get like the correct angle on like the teeth.
Yeah.
Really like that.
I just love like how saturated the colors are, but in like a way that works.
Yeah, they're saturated, but they work really well together. I think the only like awkwardness to me is in these panels.
Yeah.
I think because these are so dynamic, the fact that these are more like static, like 2 characters next to each other, makes them look to me like a little.
Yeah,
like, I'm not as much like it's not as like visually interesting, I guess.
I don't know if they're supposed to be speech bubbles, but I mean I'm also just viewing these 2 pages as like first time, no context. I'm like unclear on what exactly is happening.
It seems like speech bubbles will be here.
Yeah.
Because I see like talking mouths.
Yeah. Because also it's just like 2 very similar panels and then 2 other very similar to those, but at a slightly different angle. And there will eventually be a few speech bubbles. Because I'm not super clear what's going on in here, because obviously it's like a magic thing. But because one thing, going back to our previous comic submission, or the first one, is kind of economizing your panels. And I did a draw class on comics, so maybe I said this here, but because I come at comics from the like. As like an animation person, like I was an animation major, I have a BFA, big fucking animator paper. And like, so I would always come at comics kind of like almost like a storyboard, but that's not really the best way to approach comics, because animation is a different medium. And so when I see like these very similar panels, or it's basically like kind of just like a beat passes, I get what you're doing, but and you've already drawn it, so it's aside the point now, but like I don't know, I'm just like, this could have the layout is very samey, and it kind of reads as a little bit of like redundant as a comic panel. And this is coming as someone who does this shit all the time. I do this shit all the time in Two Demons, where I would have two exactly the same panels with one slight difference, and it wouldn't even have speech bubbles. Like, I didn't need to do that, but it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, comic as a medium, like, you can economize to make less work for yourself.
Yeah.
But
I'm also
and
just like
clearly,
thinking,
yeah, this is also just like, yeah, I'm just kind of talking. I'm sorry, but
No, you're fine.
yeah, like, yeah, it'll be different once there's speech bubbles, and it's speech bubbles are part of a comic, so it's a little difficult to judge without them. But yeah.
I'm wondering about like panel layout. Like, I think there's some fun stuff you could do here with panel layout that really like showcases like the change. Because you got like the screaming here, and then you could go like down. You could have some panels that like descend like as the power like fades out of the character. This is just kind of like a, you know, a maybe thing. Like, if you wanted to get into like some more formal elements of the comics, like making the panels express a little more of like what's happening, I'm just in my mind imagining, and then like the hair is like down here, and the character is like sad and is like, oh, and then that could like go from there into a larger panel where you got the fairy saying like whatever. But like something like this, where you focus on like the element that's shifting, you could save yourself a lot of drawing time with all this other stuff that's in the panels, but also like focus on the important bits within the panels.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like there's so many ways to go about this kind of thing.
Tafuba says this is going to happen more than once, so I can totally incorporate this in the later drawings. Yeah. I think maybe what we are, the two of us are connecting our synapses, trying to like get at is like on like, because the first page is like so big and dynamic, and there's so many cool shapes and like so bright, and the paneling on the second page, it's just like 6 even panels.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think kind of going forward, you can kind of like mess around with that more, because like Guy was saying, it currently reads as a bit like storyboard approach, whereas it's a comic. You can mess around with like the shape of the panels, and that can contribute to the flow, like Jacob has pointed out. So yeah, I think going forward you can fuck around a bit more with like your paneling and stuff to kind of match this energy of this like crazy power she's having.
Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
Like, so like, wah.
That's definitely what I was trying to
shapy
get
and
at
cool.
as well.
Yeah. Okay, we got there.
It's mainly because like it stands out so much to me because your art is really good. And so like when there's like a discrepancy in like how good your quality of art is versus like how stagnant the paneling is, it like jumps out even more. Because I'm like, this art is so good, I want it to be like presented in a way that's as dynamic as the art is.
Yeah.
So that's this is something like, to think about.
I don't have a lot of like reference point for shit, but like I just like had a flashback. Do you remember that like webcomic from 1 billion years ago, Hannah Is Not a Boy's Name?
No, I don't.
Oh my god, it's kind of given that. they do some like really crazy paneling sometimes. Like, this comic is old as shit, just like me, but very stylized, very like interesting color usage. And I just remember there were like a couple pages that were just like the paneling, like it like made my brain go bzz. So yeah, looking at like how other people do it, especially with something as like bright and stylized as this, like, try shit out. It'll be cool.
Yeah, and think about how the panels can support the action rather than just as like boxes that the drawings go in.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference in how it's like read.
Yeah, and instead of treating it like a storyboard, treat the panels like cameras.
Yeah.
If you're gonna approach it from more of like in like you're viewing a cartoon.
They said they used to do a webcomic around the same time as that one ran.
Yay, Todd Fubo! We're
That's amazing.
all old. We're all fucking old.
Olds
Let's
unite.
go. Yeah. But I think the like way you stylize the effects animation kind of like tickled that in my brain. So that's why I said that.
Yeah. This is sick as hell though.
Yeah.
Love your art. And I love all of you for for participating and submitting in the freaking Drawclass.
To us.
And submitting to us.
Yeah,
we hope you enjoyed
Jacob.
it. Thank you, Karina, for joining me. I'm gonna stop the share. I can't. It won't stop.
Oh, okay.
Oh, now everything's freezing.
Oh, nice. Well, I still hear you on my end.
I still hear you as well. I just can't see you, but that's fine.
That's totally fine.
Thanks so much, everyone. And if you are watching the VOD of this later and you want to, we'll do more of these in the future. Not like every month, but definitely occasionally. And we'll let everyone know when we're planning on doing it. So you can get in on the next one if you're watching the VOD by joining up at the Patreon at the learner tier. And you can join for just that month and then dip back down if that's what you want to do. If you want to get in on one of these and get some work critiqued. Okay, I can still hear you. I didn't know if you were gone.
I was gone for a second, but I'm just letting you do your thing. Just end it.
Okay, I'm ending it.
Just kill me.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah,
we'll see you next
do
time.
critiques again if people like them so much. Thank you so much for being a patron.
Yes, thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.